Usually like finance director reads the thing or whatever we got to read.
We were gonna go.
That would be our only role here, but I'm happy to send someone if you. We don't usually.
Usually with Ari or and Ron, usually they do the reading.
Okay.
Well, tomorrow, you're gonna be here tomorrow? No.
They don't.
I don't think, we didn't have it
I
last year either.
economize. Because all he do is read the resolution or the title of the resolution.
Yeah, Irene is gonna do that.
Yeah, we've never typically covered budget stuff. I'm happy to do it if you change your
You
mind.
are.
but,
He has.
typically, I sit there with my twiddling my thumbs.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Carr asked me, how long ago? I said, they have averaged over the last 5 years, 15-minute meetings. That's the average of those meetings.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, maybe people come in,
You're hitting that right in the hour. It's not gonna turn.
they're usually before 7, but they're usually,
Routes of that.
are you ready? You got some, you got around?
Oh yeah, he is here. I didn't see him. Okay.
Let me just, you're gonna get your ass foods. Can you put some more in this, please?
Yeah, we on that.
Ralph,
We on that with that one. You can tell me about that one.
Just like, yeah.
Hey, Mark, can you see that call?
Here, place of no nuisance.
okay. I now call to order the regular session meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs on Tuesday, September 5th, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alahouzes,
Here.
Vice Mayor Banther, Commissioner Sieber,
Here.
Commissioner Kikta,
Here.
Commissioner Carr.
Tonight's invocation will be given by Reverend Murphy from the Unitarian Church. If you please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
O God, our parent and our protector, we stand in a very difficult moment. We ask for your mercy, and we ask for strength with kindness. We ask for the courage and the wisdom to move in faith in the right direction, to do God's work, and to be of help to all of God's people. We remember the individuals who suffer because of Hurricane Harvey. We hold them in our prayers. And this week, we make our preparations for Hurricane Irma and for other storms. May we proceed on God's side with dignity, with compassion, and with hope during the days ahead. In God's name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our commission meeting, and I want to thank you all for being here tonight. We are now going to the public comments of the items that will not be discussed tonight. If you have any comments, please come forward to the podium. Hear none? Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a proclamation, September 11, Remembrance Day. And I will read the proclamation, the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida. Proclamation, whereas on September 11, we recall the true spirit of our nation following those horrific attacks, and we resolve to enshrine the enduring compassion and love of our people forever in the hearts of America. And whereas 16 years later, we pay tribute to the loss of nearly 3,000 lives, reflect on treasure memories of those we lost, and resolve to never forget that day, even as we look forward a brighter and more hopeful future. Whereas we remember the victims of September 11, 2001, and their loved ones through prayer, memorial services, candlelight vigils, and other ceremonies. And whereas we draw inspiration from the survivors and honor our nation's first responders. And whereas the mayor and commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs join people from across the country and around the world in remembrance and honoring the victims and hearers of these days 16 years ago. And now, therefore, I, Chris Salahuzus, by virtue of the authority vesting in me as the mayor of the city of Tarpon Springs, Florida, do hereby recognize September 11, 2017 as 9/11 Remembrance Day. Reverend Murphy. Thank you. Yes, if you would, if you want to say about the interface service that we will have on 11.
I want to thank the mayor, the commissioners, for this recognition of 9/11. We have an interfaith gathering scheduled for Monday, September 11th at 7 o'clock, Church on the Bayou. It's the Presbyterian Church. I hope that all of you can join us for that gathering on Monday. And of course, I hope that we have a gathering because we are concerned about Hurricane Irma. We do three things at this gathering each year, and it is an annual event. We remember the tragedies of 9/11. For some of you, that may seem like history, but for many of us, it's still very much in our minds. We thank the first responders, some caregivers, and others who look after us. So we think about the present moment and what's happening. We also ask neighbors to care for each other, just to look out for each other in difficult times. On Monday, it'll be a little different because this will be the time when we think about Hurricane Harvey. So it'll be a prayer gathering, and we'll also think about Hurricane Irma. I hope you're with us. And thank you for the recognition, all of you. Okay.
Thank you. Item number 1B, Library Card Sign-Up Month. Commissioner Sieber will read the proclamation.
Thank you. City of Tarpon Springs proclamation. Whereas a library card is the most important school supply of all, and whereas libraries play an important role in the education and development of children, and whereas library programs serve students of all ages from early literacy to homework, help to GED classes, and whereas libraries lead the way in creating inclusive spaces for students of all backgrounds to learn together, and whereas libraries continue to transform and expand their services in ways they meet the needs of the communities they serve, including making digital technology and information equally accessible to all. Now, therefore, I, Commissioner Reyes Sieber, by virtue of the authority vested in the mayor of the city of Tarpon Springs, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2017 as Library Card Sign-Up Month in Tarpon Springs, and encourage everyone to sign up for their own library card today. And I think I didn't see Carrie's. Oh, there you are. Carrie, our library director, will be accepting this. Thank you, Carrie.
I'd like to thank the entire board for this proclamation and let you know we have a lot of activities going on at the library this month. On the 18th, we have a presentation on Alexander the Great by St. Petersburg College Professor Kimberly Philos. On the 20th, we're doing a documentary film showing together with Peace for Tarpon. On the 26th, we're doing a business program with PINELLAS chapter of SCORE, and it's presented by Sheila Hooper-Nestler. It's going to be on 360-degree marketing. And the last week of September, we are going to be showing the entries for the Peace for Tarpon Magical Mangroves Coloring Contest. So we invite everybody to stop by and see those. And then coming up in October, we're very excited for October 2nd for the grand opening of the Senior Information Center, the Mayor's Initiative, that I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more about. So we hope you all will join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any public comments on both proclamations? Hearing none. Any commission comments? Thank you. Well, tonight we have an addendum on the schedule on the storm preparedness. Mr. Licouris.
Yes, I'll have fire chief today until 1 o'clock tomorrow, Butcher, and fire chief after 1 o'clock tomorrow, Fitcher, Chief Young, do this presentation to update us on the present storm and status.
It'll probably be about 1:17 or so.
Okay.
We're going to kind of give you a real quick update, very brief, very broad update on what's going on with Hurricane Irma and what we could expect And you'll find that at this point in time, it is so far away that our expectations are very broad. Chief, you want to go?
Okay, what we're going to do is just go through a little bit of a background of what we talked about earlier in the season about getting your home ready. The roofs, of course, not much we can do at this point. If your roof is out of date, it's probably not going to get changed before that storm hits. You can shutter your windows or do anything you can do to your glass windows. Now's the time to do that. The storm, stuff flying through the air can break through a window pretty easily unless it's a storm-rated window. Taping windows doesn't do a whole lot, except shows where the pieces of glass are. When they fall, if they shatter, they shatter. The tape's not going to help much. Check your weather stripping and caulking the next day or two. Make sure it doesn't need to be replaced or re-caulked to help keep some of the wind from getting in the house or water. And check your garage door. If your garage door needs replacing, again, it's probably a little bit too late. If it's one of the reinforced doors, make sure you know how to reinforce it now. I just had a neighbor call me and ask me about his door with the little pins, so I have to go by there after here and show him how to take care of that because he's not sure. So if your doors are that type of door, look at them today. Sandbags. There are sandbags in the city that we started today. They work for certain things, but they won't keep all the water out. So just remember that. Some people have that false impression that sandbags will keep every bit of water out, but they won't. Your yard, make sure everything's picked up around the yard. Now's the time to do that. Start going around, walking the house. Make sure that shrubs are picked up, any tree limbs, anything like that. Make sure your gutters are clear so the water can run freely out of the gutter system without backing up, causing more damage in the roof. Furniture. This is something almost everybody has in their yard. Some yard furniture, those little fountains in the yard, anything in the yard, start picking up, getting it inside the house, getting it ready. Don't drain the pool. We want to keep that full. You can throw some pool furniture in there if you need to so it won't fly if you don't have a place to put it. And if you need to, shut off the electricity to the pool pumps. It's a good precautionary measure there. Like I said, you can throw the patio furniture in the pool if you need to, rather than trying to get it in the garage. First aid kits for your car. You can see the stuff up here. Non-perishable food and bottled water. I know the stores are starting to run out locally, so keep an eye on what you might need and try to get to the store early. I know they're replenishing tomorrow morning. I've heard Publix and Walmart and stuff, so hopefully you can get into the store if you haven't done so yet. Basic toolkit, jumper cables, a flashlight, of course, car power inverters for your AC, DC stuff you need to use, phone chargers, of course, for your cell phones or iPads, whatever you might need to keep in contact with people, a map with shelter and other important locations. That way, if you're on the road and you get lost, you want to be able to find out where you need to go. Businesses, make sure you have all your important papers and phone numbers with you. Insurance policies, back up your files on your computers, and if there's a laptop, make sure you bring it with you. Any contracts you might need to make sure you take with you so you don't lose in the storm, and back up your cell phones. It's always a good idea to get all that information back up on the cloud if you can do that. Okay, know your evacuation zones. This is very important to start looking at that. If you haven't done so already, it's on your trim notice. You can go to the Pinellas County Emergency Management site and put in your address, and it'll bring up what evacuation zone you're in right now, or your home is, so you know what's when they call for evacuations if you need to go or not. We have maps at the library, city hall, and stuff like that shows the vac zones and a lot of pertinent information there if you need one of those, or you can come by the fire department. We'll have some there also. This is a website for an interactive evacuation map. This is what I was just talking about. If you put your address in, it'll tell you where you are in the evacuation zone. It'll even have an area on there where it'll tell you the storm surge of your address. So if it's a Category A evacuation, you can kind of see where the water might come, or a Cat 1 storm, and so on. You can actually see where water could come up to your house. It's a guesstimate at best. Every storm is different, so you never really can tell. But it gives you some direction of what you might want to be doing. Your pets. You need to register your pet if you're going to leave them in a shelter. You cannot take them to the shelter with you. They have to go to a special shelter, which that has to be done now to pre-register them. I don't believe that if you showed up and you didn't pre-register them, they wouldn't take them, but it'll make the system a lot easier for you and the pet. Here's the shelter situation. We have a Red Cross shelter at the Tarpon Springs Middle School that is just a basic shelter. It's not if you have any special needs, if you're on oxygen or need some care for family members beyond just being in the shelter. You'll have to go to a special needs shelter, which is down in Dunedin. The closest pet shelter is the Dunedin Middle School. Social media, there's a lot of information going on the social media sites, Tarpon's Facebook page, the City of Tarpon's Facebook page, our Facebook page. I'm sure Police Department's Facebook page will have information on it. So you can always go to those sites and find out what you need or what's going on. This is a new app from Pinellas County. You can go to on your phone to the App Store. It's a free app. It's called Ready PINELLAS. These are just a few things that you can get on that app. It gives a lot of information. It'll actually tell you where you're at right then and there, what evacuation zone you're in. It'll tell you storm surge information. Also, you can sign up for Alert Pinellas. It's a free system they have that you will get notifications to your phone telling you what's going on, any emergency information that might need to be passed. You can sign up for that, and that's free to anybody in your household.
Okay, what you see on the screen now is the 5 o'clock update of Hurricane Irma. Irma is a long way away. The latest projections have it affecting, not hitting, but affecting us late Sunday night, Monday morning. So it's a long way away. There's a lot of things that could happen. So that when we're preparing for this storm, we're preparing for the worst. We're hoping for the best. So you're going to hear Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Pasco County come out in the next 24 hours talking about evacuations and levels of evacuations and things like that. Pay attention to what they're saying, because what everybody is doing is everybody is preparing you to let you know that you have time to prepare yourself to leave. I will tell you, you do not want to go to a shelter. That's the last place you want to be. Shelters are not fun. There's no power. There's no electricity. You're sleeping on a gymnasium floor. That should be your last resort. Find a relative somewhere else. They say you should go 1 to 2 counties away. If you guys remember back in Hurricane Charlie days, we evacuated. Oh, let's get out of here. We left. So everybody left. They all went to Orlando. Safe place. Wrong. Where did Charlie go? Orlando. Okay, so when you're looking at where you're going to go, watch the storm. Just pay attention to the media. If you look at all of the different media outlets, they're all relatively the same in the information they're passing on. So when you hear over the next 24 hours about evacuations, evacuation levels, and prepare yourself, take heed. Prepare yourself. They're not telling you to evacuate yet, because we may be evacuating and Pasco may be evacuated, but Hillsborough may not. So keep an eye on what's going on. We will be putting out notices through all of the media outlets on what to do. Also, if you have neighbors or friends, or you know people that are maybe elderly or disabled, check with them over the next couple of days. We've got time. This is a perfect time to do that. Check with the people that you think may need the help, or you haven't heard from, or what have you. This is the time to do that. Take that, like Chief Young said, take that trip around your yard. See what brush is there, what kind of shrubbery maybe you can clean up, because any of these loose branches becomes material that could take flight and hurt people or property. So at any rate, just remember, take heed of all of the media releases that come out. Pay attention to all of it. Don't listen to the first sentence and then just go crazy with it. Listen to the entire report. With that, we'll take questions or comments.
Well, thank you, Chief Butcher and Chief Young. Mr. Licorice, also want to thank you for having the presentation such a short notice on my request. I have a question to ask you. That actually the question came from a concerned citizen. Wanted to know, is any transportation available for seniors, disabled, disadvantaged people?
We have an ongoing list. It's called our Special Needs List program. It's been ongoing for several years. Anytime during the year, anybody that needs help with transportation to a shelter or to a medical facility are encouraged to contact us or Pinellas County, and they fill out forms, and we have all that prearranged. So the answer is absolutely yes, we do. If they're not on our list now, which contains about 130 people in the city, we have on a list to do that for already. Okay. If they are in need of that and they're not on our list, just have them give us a call or contact us in any way, shape, or form.
Would you give us the phone number so they can hear?
Well, that's a secret. It's, you can call us at 938-3737, 938-3737, or just stop by the office. Either one's fine.
Thank you, thank you. Commission comments? Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I think the mayor beat me by 1 hour by asking to have this. I thought, that most of us would want to have this tonight, and this is nothing new to our area. I'm kind of a storm junkie, so I follow maps and models, and I'm hoping for the best here. Obviously, we're going to get something. And I remember just Hermine last year, and that was Category 1 conditions at worst, and how bad that made us flood, and we had loss of power. So, I'm sure it goes without saying, Mark, I'm sure that our streets and stormwater guys are going to making sure the drains are as clear as possible, because my main concern here is obviously flooding. And then like the mayor mentioned, if the county does call for evacuations, that we get people out. Don't we, Chief, do we still have something with Astroscape bus service? Was that just an old thing, or?
No, that arrangement was for the pet shelter
Okay.
to help transport pets and their owners. And that Astroscape has taken that off the table.
Okay, so in our only shelter, public ones, is the middle school, correct? Okay, all right. Well, I encourage everyone to prepare early and to work to have these things on hand year round. You don't want to be going to the store last minute, frantic, and people grabbing cases of water out of people's hands. And that's just crazy. We live in Florida. That sort happens every year. So every year you should take a restock of your preps. Not saying go as crazy as I do. If you knew what I have, you would probably not actually vote for me. But just make sure you're ready for whatever comes, and watch the news, and realize that if power goes out, to have your radios ready, your battery power radios, and then follow social media on your phone. As long as you would have phone service, so make sure you've liked the police Facebook page, the fire page, and the city's page. But I thank you in advance for all your work. I'm sorry that Chief Young, as of tomorrow, is going to get his first major storm that he has to deal with. But in requesting his appointment, I have full faith that he will do it. Has to be done for Tarpon Springs. So I thank you in advance.
Commissioner Kiekta?
No, I just want to thank you for the update and for being here this evening, because this worries, I think, everybody right now. Is just everyone's so concerned with what's happening, because we're so unsure. And I was at the store today, and I was sitting in the gasoline line, and we're 4 deep already, and I'm like, people are panicking and trying to get water in Walmart, and people are just out of control, and we need to keep a calm. And it was hard for me, but we need to be calm. And this is a serious situation. And does everybody need 10 cases of water? No. So let's be level-headed about this and be smart. But we have a few days here that we need to really keep an eye on this storm, because no matter if it hits us or not directly, the entire state is going to be affected by this storm. This is huge. It's a huge storm. So be prepared, like Chief said, prepare now. And I can't stress that enough. Keep your cell phones charged, and just be prepared and listen to what is happening out there. Thank you for the update. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Seaver?
There's not much to add, but I want to thank you both. And we needed to do this tonight. I'm glad that you were here and were able to. So thank you very much.
Cora?
Just one thing to add, if I could make a reminder as well to fill any medications. If anyone out there is within the city that typically fills medications, this is the time to do it, and not on Sunday. So.
Good point. Public comments. If you want to comment, would you please come to the podium?
I just add a couple things before that. Is
Okay.
that on the water issue, they recommend 3 days worth of water. So that's something that you want to keep in mind, to try to stockpile at least 3 days worth of water for your family. And they say around 3 gallons a day per person. So that's just out there. I did, on the medication issue, the pharmacies now, since the state has declared that you can now get a 90-day supply, I believe, through your pharmacy ahead of time for pre-orders. So that's just something new too. So.
Thank you. Do you?
On the same note of the prescriptions, mine actually come from a specialty pharmacy in Texas. So the pharmacies here local, like CVS and Walgreens, are giving you ample supply, but you need to call quickly so that they can make sure they have it in stock. So.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address for the record.
My name?
Yes, and your address.
My name is Terry Long DeBaker at 728 Chesapeake Drive, Tarpon Springs.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other comments?
Peter Delacus, 514 Ashland Avenue. I was glad to come in and hear Chief Butcher and Chief Young giving everybody an update from some experience, having been through a number of storms, lived in Miami during Andrew. People need to look at some of the things they do in their normal course to prepare, in a sense, for these situations. You're talking about going to the store and you're out of water. Well, why should you even have gone to the store? You've probably, over the last year or 2 years, or let's say last couple of months, gone through some gallon jugs and milk jugs and tea containers, Arizona teas, or any of those plastic containers. Put them aside for a while. Fill them up. Let's say you got 20 jugs of a gallon each. That's a lot easier than carrying a 5-gallon jug. And then you didn't have to worry about fighting or somebody talking online. Well, you can order it from Amazon and have it delivered tomorrow. Pfft, come on, you could have done it yourself. And one thing I would recommend as an emergency management situation, pre-prepare to have trucks of ice. I'm serious. That was like the biggest thing after Andrew. They were hauling, Publix was bringing semis of ice to the stores. They weren't open, they were just bringing semis and you could buy the ice because if anything, you want to maybe try to preserve what you have. So if you got an ice maker, start making ice. Stuff in plastic bags, fill in your freezer with ice. Cheap ways to, I know they're probably going to say it's not secure, but it's worked for me before. It worked for me and Andrew. If you can get big pieces of cardboard and duct tape. Cut the cardboard out to fit your window and duct it around. Yeah, heavy wind, rain, it's going to get soaky, but it's going to keep smaller items or things that would normally pop your windows from happening. I mean, I was at Lowe's today, the plywood's out, and unless you're really handy to cut and power drill, that's not an option. But for a lot of people, you can cut pieces of cardboard and duct tape it. Simple stuff. Other than that, your candles, your batteries, and just be patient. Hunker down if you're staying. And the only thing I would ask from the city, I know they turn the water off in certain areas at a certain point. My mom lives, and I was talking to a few residents today. They're up at Green Dolphin, and that's kind of high ground up there, and a lot of them are really going to be staying, but they're concerned about their water getting shut off. So I don't know if there's some way that we can be advised, or we have a phone number we can call or check to see what the status would be about water shutoffs, because a lot of these people, one, are not internet savvy to go to the website and look it up. Two, you may not have electricity, and a lot of them aren't smartphone people where they would do it on their phone. So my concern and some of their concerns is water shutoff and in certain areas of the city, the timing for that, and any way we can get information on when that would be occurring. God bless, and stay safe.
Thank you.
I could respond to two of those points real quick.
Yes, if you would.
The ice and water is an automatic response. Every first response that comes in post-event, the first thing that happens is semi-trucks show up with ice and water at all the points of distribution or the pods. So that's part of the FEMA first response group going into a disaster, area of disaster. As far as the water shutoff goes, the plan that we have in place is for a Category C evacuation or above, and it's only on the west side of town, everything on the other side of the Anclote River. So it's only the west side of town where the water and the sewer systems are shut down, and that's at a mandatory C level evacuation. So nothing on this side of town would be affected by that.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments? Here not. Thank you, Chief and Chief. Appreciate it. We are now going to the item number 2. Stormwater update on late August flooding events requested by Commissioner Silver.
Yes, and we'll have 3 people mainly involved in this. Bob Robertson, our project manager, Tom Function, and Chief Coaching. Bob, you gonna start it off?
Thanks, Mark. Good evening, Bob Robertson, Project Administration Director. Was asked, like the city manager said, to, I'm just really gonna kick off a short presentation on my part with Tom Function and Bob Cochin, who are gonna talk about the response, but we're gonna focus on the storm event of the end of August. And I pluralized it on purpose. It wasn't just one event. So let me explain. So this is an image taken Tuesday, August 29th at 5:30 in the afternoon. Just wanted to highlight the intensity of the rain that we saw right over Tarpon Springs. You can see it's kind of really the highest in the area. Over that 24-hour period, we saw 7.13 inches. This is measured at the NOAA rain gauge right across the street here from City Hall. To put that in perspective, I'll put up a slide here. I'm going to zoom in on a section here in a minute so you can see some of the numbers. But this is a database from weatherwarehouse.com. And this database shows you all the weather data from 1900 through 2016. So it's a pretty extensive database. And what I did was I clicked on the month of August and I sorted the data by the max 24-hour precipitation here. And so you could see the highest 24 hours we saw over this 116 years was 8.75 inches. And you can see that 7.13 falls into second place over that 116 years. So it's a pretty significant rain event. But there's even more to the story, because if you look through the whole month of August, this last August, and this is a plot of the amount of inches of rain over every day of the month of August. You look over there, 27th, 28th, and 29th, we had a significant amount of rainfall. What we actually got was just over 12.5 inches over those 3 days. To put that in perspective, that's about 23% of our average annual rainfall that we got in just 3 days, almost a quarter of our rainfall in 3 days. So what are we doing about the stormwater problem? Well, just as a reminder, I don't expect anyone to be able to make all this out, but I'll explain what you're looking at here is a map of the city where this map comes out of the Stormwater Action Plan, and that plan addresses flood-prone areas, thank you, and also shows some of the areas that we've completed. So I put some arrows on here to kind of show there, the yellow being the ones that are projects that are still coming, that we're working on, and the green being the projects that we've completed so far. It's about half of the total project. So we've come a long way, but we do have a long way to go. So with that, Tom, I'm going to stop talking, and Tom's going to come up and talk about how we respond to events like this.
Thank you, sir. Tom Function, Public Works Director. Good afternoon. These in particular events, of course, they were pretty devastating. This is just a couple of photos we put together on some of the responses we've had in the past, and not particularly the last events, but to show you what type of work we are doing during some of these pretty historical events. This picture alone was that Sunday, which was the 27th. That's our backyard. There's probably about 4.5 foot of water laying in the backyard of Public Works. That's how fast the water came down. This does have a drain system into it, drains to a pond that falls out to the Anclote. But that filled up probably within about 10 minutes of time. That's how heavy the rain came down. In that particular period this past Sunday, we received a phone call from the police department regarding this flooding and the issues down at MLK, the Dodecanese, Chesapeake, multiple places, Bayshore. We received a phone call at 3:18 in the afternoon. My men responded. We're clocking in at 3:38, and we're actually putting barricades up at 3:45. That's pretty phenomenal to be on the job within, half an hour to do this. Same thing happened on the 27th. Phone calls come in at 4:42. We were on site again at 5:04, and on the 28th, phone calls came in at 3:42 and on the site at 3:58. Events like this, there's just not much we can do. Matter of fact, the particular event, that's more of our yard. There's some more of the flooding we had. That's North Street and North Spring. That's the pond over off of Hibiscus. Thank you. The particular rainfall on Sunday, probably the worst time, was 3.6 inches in about 45 minutes. No matter what type of work we put in there, there's no way in God's creation we could possibly handle that kind of water. And that water was not tidal influenced either. There's some more flooding over on, I think it was East Lyme. That's about it right there. But again, I'm open to any kind of question you have to our response. My guys worked very hard to get out there. We put out about 200 barricades in those last couple of days, all within 45 minutes of being on the site.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Mr. Licouris, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the employees that worked out in the bad weather, providing excellent service for the people. So if you please extend my thanks to them, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'd like to, Chief, you want to say something? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. From a police perspective, we partner with everyone, but this is a coastal community, so over the years we've gotten very good at dealing with these issues. That one issue that you just got the presentation on, that's one of the toughest issues that we have to deal with, because when the officers are working, they know to check these areas, but once the stormwater system gets to a point, and you have that heavy rain, at one point the roads are passable. We don't shut them down. People have to get places. MLK is a major thoroughfare. People may go into a hospital, or people may be doing business down in the sponge dock. So we check them, but we don't close them if cars can reasonably get through. On that day, the water crested within 20 minutes. All these roads started flooding. So we were, we really got on the ball we had a multitude of calls coming in. We had MLK flooding, we had the docks flooding, we had a person down at Walmart. We had a whole bunch of calls coming in, and, between dispatch and working with Tom's crews and, the officers on the street, the sponge docks, we got a 911 call at around 15:09. They had the whole road shut down by 15:20. Dealing with also MLK, dealing with a person down at Walmart, you have to send 2 units to that because we didn't know what was going on, and a whole host of other things that were going on. So really kudos to my department, because they really had to think on their feet, and they were able to get those roads shut down reasonably quick. For us, I think we pretty much have it down, and these are the more challenging issues, because if we know a tropical storm's coming, we can plan for that. This you really can't plan for. You got to act quick, but I think the culture in the PD is one of, we've been doing this a long time. We know what areas flood. Dispatch and patrol works really well together. Actually, in our dispatch section, we have Doppler radar. They monitor the high tide. So, we really start trying to prepare for this. But also, if you remember back when, about 3-4 years ago, when we started transitioning our police fleet, we went to Tahoes, high water vehicles, so we can get into more places. We have an MRAP. We have small boats now that we purchased that, if it is a really bad situation, we can get to people. So, for us, it's all a matter of getting to these places as quick as we can, making judgment calls, working with Tom's department to shut down roadways. And of course, we have the public that also helps kind of call and let us know that, you know, certain areas are flooding. But it's kind of funny because our culture really is geared to, we're really paranoid about this stuff because we really don't want cars going underwater. And the city's done a phenomenal job with certain roadways, as you know, over on Walton and Diston. You know, we used to have cars that would, you know, drive through that water and then they're in 5 feet of water and we have to go rescue them. I mean, those weren't good situations. But it was funny, I sent an email out on May 24, 2017, all sergeants corporals, there will be a so-called king tide in Tarpon Springs on the days and times listed below. And I don't even know what a king tide is, but I have all the dates and times listed just so dispatch, patrol sergeants, I mean, this is just the way we are. We really try and stay on top of things, and it's a partnership with all city departments to provide this service. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Commissioner Silver, we'll start with you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for being here. You know, whenever we get these, like you said, people do kind of panic or they get concerned, and we get the calls. Business owners lose business. So thank you for coming and giving us an update. And it was interesting to see, Bob, what you showed, what has been done, but how much more we still need to do. And it's a matter of time and getting it done. And again, thank you for all you do, but I appreciate you coming and giving us an update because we do have citizens that are concerned about their properties and their businesses, and they need to just know what's going on.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Carr, you have a question? Okay. Commissioner Kichter.
Thank you. I just want to thank you all for giving this update today, because every time we do have rain in our community, it's been an issue through the years and concerns with our citizens because we were flooding bad. We have completed some major projects throughout the city over the past few years, and it's gotten better, and people just don't see that part of it. We know because we're part of the process, all of us, but our residents sometimes don't understand that we've come a long way. And it's unfortunate that this past week, or the week you're all talking about, that rain came down, and it came down fast and hard. And so when you get that much rain, there's not a whole lot you can do. Now, I had called Mark, I forget what day it was, but I called you right after that, and you know, I'm like, you know, I know we had flooding because I was out on the streets one day and it was bad, and I had to reroute and stuff, and I know that. And he's like, you know, and then he told me explain to me exactly what you all just explained to me as well. And I was not aware about the police car, now that we're going to SUVs to be higher, and that's a great idea. That is a really good idea, so they can get through, you know, faster. And I know Tom's crews work very hard. And that was another thing I had asked about with the storms coming. And Mark's assured me that you know, you're on top of it, Tom. And I said, you know, we need our storm drains cleaned. We need things cut back, you know, and all that. And he says, Tom's got a plan. They're doing it. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Like I said, and like Robertson has said, you know, we've had so many projects and we've gotten so many done. I know we do have a long way to go, but we've come a long way too. So thank you all for everything.
Tom's a little modest getting up and doesn't say things, but he should have told you about what he does and what happened Tuesday. We have now crews dedicated. Obviously, you got everything going on barricade crew, but he's got crews dedicated to just go around and check the drains and open up the drains that are starting to get clogged. So when you see the rain pouring down, you not only see the people getting wet with the barricades, the people getting wet with there, but he's got people out there specifically getting out, and especially the drains. I mean, they know all the drains in town. They know the drains that stop up fast. They know that one. And there is a regular crew rotation that just goes around during those times to clear those drains out, because obviously we can have the best drains going as possible. I think a testament of this last storm is, yeah, it was bad. Everything was flooded, but look how close, because I was stuck Sunday in a parking lot for an hour. I couldn't go anywhere. But when the sun was out an hour later and stuff you'd seen a lot of the places had already receded. That means our systems work. It's just the volume, it can't absorb it. But adding that to our programs from what we learned before, adding those people going around with those drains was important. Then you do all you want. If those drains get clogged, then water, but him instituting that program in there has made a lot of help in the storms and stuff. And also with the police, they've got, for instance, barricades already down at the marina ready, so they don't have to wait for the call to Public Works on Sunday to come into the city yard, bring the barricades. They can go to their established spots so they can get the barricades out first. Obviously, if it happens during the week, we got all the crews in here. But on weekends or late at night, he's got the barricades stationed around town so they can get preliminary barricades out and try to block the road, and then Public Works can supplement it during that time. So those are two things we've done to speed up the process. If they can get down there, obviously when it hits when it hits like I was on US 19 when it hit, just wanted to get off the thing because you couldn't see in front of you. So they've got time to mobilize. They got cars stalled. They got people hurt. So. Well,
also another good thing is we have a whole trailer at the PD full of barricades to supplement what they do. Yeah. So, there's backup. Like you say, if one area gets flooded and we can't get to it, then we bring out the trailers and we just start shutting everything down. So.
Thank you.
And we left you in the parking lot for an hour. We didn't want to rescue that day, by the way.
I wasn't going to leave. I wasn't driving, leaving as bad as it was.
That's your punishment.
Yeah, I got the phone call. So yeah.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Panther?
Yes, I want to thank Commissioner Sieber for putting this item on the agenda. I think it dovetails well with what we're facing. I was doing some rounds in my truck when flooding started. I was actually at reload and it was dry, and I walked out of reload and it was the heavens unloaded. So I drove around town a bit, and I was very impressed. Actually, before I even called or knew what the city was doing, how the police had MLK blocked off, and how quickly I learned after the fact that they responded to the flooding on the sponge docks. I think what some people have to face, and they'll face it next week as well, is that we basically live at sea level. I mean, it's going to flood. The water has to go somewhere. So when you get, the back of my office at Diston and Tarpon Avenue, it was a lake. It's what happens. So just keep if you do have drains, one of my properties has the big drains from the city, make sure it's clear. And just do your part. I'm very glad to hear that we have a dedicated team that's going around to make sure that these drains are clear in preparation for the storm. I think we did phenomenal in Hermine last year. We were out there before Duke Energy or anybody else. And just in closing, when you watch what happened in Houston, I saw they had the same thing that we have. What's that, Chief, called the MRAP, whatever it's called?
Yep, the MRAP. It can apply almost 5.5 feet of water.
I don't think anybody complained when that went and picked them up.
Right.
So I'm very thankful that we have that here in our community, that God forbid we have flooding like that can go rescue people. So
it's ready to go.
Much.
No, the militarization of the police argument kind of dissipated when that happened. And
there's actually pictures of those things. I think it was forget what area, but they were doing rescues in 5-6 feet of water. And that thing can hold 20, 30 people, so it's a great asset.
I think with having some of the most coastline of any city in Tarpon Springs, having flown over Tarpon Springs 100 times, seeing the layout, I think it would be a disservice to our residents if we didn't have that. So thank you.
And thank goodness the program is going to be opened back up, and they're going to be available for a stopping, because here in Florida, despite whether people believe it or not, when those things became available, the first thing, myself being law enforcement chief, said, these are great in storms to get to people and save people's lives. We weren't thinking we were going to do hostile takeovers of poor citizens in the town or whatever the other garbage that's out there about this military. The first thing we said, if we had those vehicles, we can go save some lives where we can't get vehicles to when we have storms here and stuff. So it's just valuable, and you can see it working there and stuff. And all those people who holler at stuff kind of shut up during these times.
And I think the price tag was still on the door when we got it. Over $700,000 the federal government paid for it. We got it for $2 million.
Nice.
My soapbox.
Okay, thank you. Well, August 29th was one of the worst rainstorms we had in many, many years. And it was stated the rainfall was 7.13 inches, which is unbelievable. And I am very grateful to our employees for working in the rain to provide service, excellent service to our people. But, storm water has been has been concerned to us for many, many years. As it was stated earlier by Mr. Robbins, said that 7 years ago we identified areas with drainage problems. So we created the action plan to improve and to correct these problems, and I want to thank Mr. Robinson for doing that. In some places, we had to install stormwater lines. We built manholes, vaults, pumping stations, retention ponds. Just recently, we purchased 2 properties, one on Mango Street and one on Penn Street, in order to build 2 additional stormwater ponds. We have many other areas that we still have to improve. The Deccan East Boulevard, it's one of 3 business communities that it has stormwater issues, and I am concerned. Some of the stores there, the elevation of the floor, it's only 1 foot from the street elevation. So if we get a little bit of a water, automatically it is a concern. We had a meeting with city manager, Mr. Licouris, police chief Cochin, the local businessman, and we discussed issues and to find solutions. At this time, staff is in process analyzing the problem with the stormwater engineer. Hopefully we'll find a solution for that area. During the meeting that we had with the staff and the business owner, for temporary solution, we decided that when the rainstorm occurs, the city employees are going to go there and they're going to place barricades and safety cones to block the traffic on the Deccan East Boulevard, just because to stop the traffic so the vehicles will not create water waves so the water goes into the stores. Of course, sandbags are available. It can be provided. It can be placed in front of the stores. Sandbags, of course, is not a total answer because they don't stop the water 100%. But I know that from my past experience that floodgates are available, and that can be placed in front of the store, front of the door, and that can actually block the water. Mr. Robinson, can you please show some of the pictures that we were able to find online? As you see, the floodgate there can be placed on the front of the door and only takes a few minutes to install it. It's something that I had to use in the central office when I worked for Verizon as a manager. And those floodgates can be available online and also can be built here locally by in a shop. And we're going to continue, of course, to do improvements in every area that we can. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the efforts and the hard work that it goes to make sure that we provide the excellent service to our people. Those floodgates that can be actually placed in the front of the store. They're using that in Europe a lot, and in the central offices, in the Verizon central offices, we're using that, and it stops the water. So that's another option that can be explored by the owners till we get, better solutions. That's all I have. Thank you. And now we're going to go to the public comments.
My name's W.D. King. I live on 734 Chesapeake in Tarpon. Just a little background on myself. I've been in Tarpon all my life, so I know about flooding. I know about the bayous flooding. I know about the sponge docks. I know about everything. I don't have an issue with Chesapeake Drive flooding with rain. I got 9 inches of water in my rain gauge the other day. There's no flooding on Chesapeake. Of course, there's flooding at the end of the street at Riverside. There always is. I didn't have any water. But guess what? When we get a big spring tide or king tide, like the chief said, we flood. The bayou comes up through the storm drains and floods the street bad. The salt water, 5-6 inches deep in front of my house and at 728. People driving through it, they don't know it's salt water, and they just drive through it like it's 6-7 inches deep, and they just scream through it. And I yell at them, it's salt water, and they don't think it is, but it's an issue. The floodgates are awesome to put around doors, but that wouldn't help us at our place because I have a frame house. It just leaked through anyway. It's already done it 3 times. But I don't know if there's an answer to what we have. I understand they're doing some flood things down at the docks with the drains. I can block off drains with the sandbags, but it's not going to help. It's going to come up someplace else probably. They don't flood there until the bayous connect. It's done it twice since I've been there. Did it no name, bad. I had 17 inches of water in my downstairs foyer. It did it once when I was out of the country, but it was only a couple inches, but it was all tides, it wasn't rain. So our issue isn't stormwater. Before we had stormwater drains on Chesapeake, we didn't have any for years. And we never flooded. We never got saltwater flooding unless it was a hurricane or a big storm. But now we're getting with just spring tides. And now the tides are getting a little bit stronger. We had one come up with just a little storm, went last month, I think, April sometime. It flooded. It came within a half inch of coming in my door. And that's just a tide. It wasn't raining. It was a tide, a big tide. And I don't know if there's an answer to that. But I know that it didn't do it before the storm drains were put in. I've lived there 25 years. No salt water. We had puddles from storm water, from rainwater then. We don't have that now, so the drains work for that, but they don't stop the bayous from coming in. And I don't know if that's an engineering fault or if it's something that can be corrected. But it's a problem for several people on the street, and worse problem maybe for the people down the street because they don't realize they're ruining their cars. They won't see it for probably 3 or 4 years, but it'll ruin the cars. They just drive through it like it's nothing. It's an issue. And the only other issue with where we are right there at the low part of the street is a neighbor that we have had a natural pond on her property. She decided after the house was torn down there, build a new house, and she decided she was going to drain the pond that was on the property. So she fenced it in, started putting fill in there, and trying to move the water. Well, she's moved the water. Now it's moved over to Tina Valchetti's property next to her, a big vacant lot. Now she's got a pond in her property when it rains hard. This is rain now. This isn't salt water. Now she's got a tractor like she lives in the country, so she gets out and she redesigns the city right-of-way with drains. She's going to put pipes in and run so she could run it into the city property to drain that pond. I don't think she should be draining that pond into city pipes or using the city for things like that. And it's affecting our property because the water comes out in the street now where it never did before. That's rainwater. That's her problem. It's not from the city problem of the drainage system. It's a natural pond, and she's filling it in. I can take people out there and show you, but she thinks it's okay for her to do because it's her property. But she can't, I don't think, push water on other people's property. And I watched that pond for years. It filled up. It didn't flood the street. There was one little puddle in front of Tina Valchetti's house, and when a big rain came. Other than that, it didn't flood there. Now it's an issue. So that's 2 of them. But I don't know if anything can be done about it now. I really don't. I've talked to Tom. They were going to clean the drains out there. They did one. The drain in front of Billy Stamets' house had been there since Billy built the new house, 20-some years. It's never been cleaned. They were going to clean that, but it never happened. I think they cleaned one of them, but they didn't get it all. But I don't have a problem with the drainage system, with the storm sewers, with rainwater. 9 inches is a lot of rain. The street, if they're going to flood, they should have been flooded. There's no puddles. So they work for that. But how do we stop the bayou from coming in, flooding our properties? Didn't do it before, Mayor. They didn't do it. I lived there 25 years. Now it's doing it. Big high spring tides, floods. And people don't know it's salt water, and they're driving in it. I don't know if anything can be done or not, but just had to let the city know. And I can't say anything bad about Tarpon. I love the town. Been there forever. That's an issue.
Thank you.
Okay.
You, Mr. King, did call me on the issue, and we've got our team working on both those issues he talked about. So we're aware of it, and we are going to work on both those issues and work with him.
Okay.
I'm Andreas Alivaras, 495 Riverside Drive. I own 3 places in Spandax, and I heard all of you. You congratulate one or the other, and I'm sure you try to do the best job you never. And I make a recommendation months ago. We need an officer, especially on the weekends, in the span docks to walk. Unfortunately, nothing happens. The other day, the chief received 911. I did it. I want to tell you why. I think for some reason, the city, he want to save money. Not the officers' irresponsibility 100%. The city has to spend money, and especially at the time they know we have rain, bad rain. Sponge is flooding. I understand the mayor to say we put a plywood or whatever, to close the doors. I agree with him. But I don't agree with one thing. We have to close the street because the kids and the adult run so fast they make waves. And the water go inside to the restaurants. Not only my restaurants. And the gift shop. And I want to ask you, all of you, the commissioners, the day we have bad rain, how many commissioners they come to Spandax? Only one. Only one. I don't think the rest of it knows the Spandax. I don't think so. I don't think you know where is the Spandax. Why is Spandax flooding? First of all, we're not cleaning the drainage well. Every year we have to clean the drainage. They make a bad decision. Even in the other last week, we have the low tide still is flooding. Because the way they make it to go to the water, to the river, is closed. Is a small holes. Nobody pay attention. I'm not engineer. I'm the chef. But I think I know something about how we can drainage the thing. So I make today, again, the recommendation, the city manager, every time they know we have problems, to have the city employees to close the street, not to wait me or somebody else to be in the middle of the street to screaming the people don't run so fast because the water go inside to the restaurants. It's not chief responsibility, 100%. All the time we say, oh, the officers is responsible. It's N-O. I say that. Because, like I said before, I have 3 businesses and I have the same problems. So I appreciate and I ask the city publicly and the city commissioners to decide to spend more money for the employees to put in better cases to help the police department. How many who have police officers to run everywhere? That's the reason I call 911. I call the 911. And the fire department is coming, to protect us. Of course, at the same time, the officers come there. And I think the mayor knows we have one meeting long time ago. And I ask specific, like small business, we need a Spandax officer or any employee for the city to take care of all the problems. Please. I'm telling you, and I ask you, this is the time. It's not the time because I lose money, because the people they don't come down, but everyone who's working on the street, on the sidewalk, and splash the water, and they make a mess, soon they go back wherever it's gone. They say, oh, we go to Spandax, Tarpon Springs. These people, they don't know what they're doing because they don't take care of us. City make money. We make money. Every single one who's making money from out-of-town people and the local. Please, I'm saying again, please, Mayor, Commissioners, do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leslie McMurtry, 734 Chesapeake. My husband, Warren King, was up a minute ago. Just a couple of clarifications on what he said. What we have is not an issue that was before. It's when the street was re-bricked. And when that bricking was done, we had drainage that was put in. The idea, as we were explained from the city, I think my first call was in January 2016 when we flooded in the street side. It sounds logical. If we have water in the street, like this last storm, we'd have a problem flooding up front. The water is coming from the drain that's up the hill at another property. So we've got a drain line that comes down our street, and we have these drains in front of our houses and across the street. Logic is, fills up, drains out. But when the high tides come in, we're getting the water from the drain that comes down to those drains. So the times we flooded, I believe it's 3, January 16, October 16, and I think April this year. We called city employees. They've come out. They've talked to us. They've said it would be taken care of, or we're looking into it, and issues. And granted, this last rain, you guys were great. Kudos to the whole city, but we have a major problem in front of our property. So it's not Mother Nature, which it probably will be soon, but this is not Mother Nature. This is something that the city or engineers has done to the street to create this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Don DeBaker, 728 Chesapeake. I think we have some pretty prestigious folks that live out, and I really want to gear my attention around Chesapeake, and I know this is going around in many different areas, but I really want to just target on Chesapeake. Why Chesapeake? Is because we have nursing homes there. We take care of nursing homes. We have surgeons there. We have doctors, lawyers. We have so many people living on that street who's given their life building Tarpon Springs. So in doing so, they decide to settle their property there on Chesapeake. And at one time, there wasn't any flooding. Now, the city allows certain things to happen. So when you have to build new homes, you have to follow the codes. Those codes are very strict. We have to pay for surveyors. We have to pay for so many things to make sure it's right on your side. We can't get past without that. Not to mention nursing homes. They're there to take care of the residents, dependent. They busted their butt their whole lives. They were doctors, lawyers, engineers, probably the best on the market, and they can afford to stay in a nursing home. And so the nursing home is forced to do what they have to do. Or why? They get immediate jeopardy tags. They're able to do that. The state, the federal, will shut them down. So in some instances, in the flooding part, comes where they have to build themselves pumps. So they build pumps to keep the water from going into their properties for flooding. Why? Because the next day you can shut them down, get fined, whatever the situation is. But that hasn't solved the problem around the community because all that water now gets pumped out. And not only do we get the high tides, the rain waters, all the residents trying to do their thing because we're not getting the assistance and the funds that we need to build the right solution to fix this problem. But now we got the water trickling down on one side of Chesapeake and also trickling down from to the other side. I've got cars stalling. I mean, we literally have a mess out there, and that one-way valve or whatever fix you say is on the way, Mark. And David, you mentioned we're going to flood. It's inevitable we're going to flood, but there are some solutions that can be done and handled, especially to those folks that have given their life to build, not all responsible, but they've built Tarpon Springs, and you've got some pretty prestigious people out there that worked hard. And it's not just for them, it's for our residents, nursing home folks, for those folks that spend endless times at the hospital, ODARC 30 to ODARC 30, taking care of your babies, your loved ones. You've got a lot of medical professionals out there, and just for those guys that work hard. You can't just live there and not work hard. And I'm sorry I am targeting just on Chesapeake, but that's where I feel that the attention is needed to take care of our seniors, to take care of those who are sick, and that community was given a nursing home, and we need to do what it takes to make everything win. We can compromise, but barricades, I give you kudos to barricades, but that's not fixing the problem. We need to come together and find out what the solution is. And you've mentioned today, you've mentioned stormwater lines, you've mentioned storm drainings, one-way valve, stormwater pumps, retention ponds, but I don't see one of those, not even in our area, and that's truly what's going to fix the problem. And you're going to have to build any easements, and you're going to have to be creative to make this happen, and that's all we're asking. And in return, we can continue doing our jobs and making your lives better too, and your family's healthy, and making us all happy. That's really what it's about, right? Working together. That's all I have to say. Just to kind of build.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I just will repeat again, as when Mr. King calls me, I've got my team working on those issues, and they will be, I understand them all. They're well explained to me by my longtime friend who explained them to me, and we have our team. Obviously, we've had some other things to deal with, but that is on the list, Chesapeake, and we are going to work on all those issues you've talked about. You explained them to me well, and the team that you saw up here, including our stormwater engineers that we have contracted with, are going to be brought in, involved, and deal with all those issues.
PINELLAS 514 Ashland Avenue. And listening to some of the residents speak here, and I'm not going to get into any particular neighborhoods, particular flooding issues, but I don't know if engineering-wise, when we put in new drains, if there's any kind of backflow valves that can be put in. I mean, I know we have backflows for our storm water that we feed into neighborhoods, but is there any way we can figure out if we can put storm backflow things on stormwater drains so the water doesn't back up? I know there'd probably be a significant amount of pressure involved with, the amount of weight in a bayou pushing up through a tube, but y'all can talk about that in a second. Don't want to, y'all use your time. All right, here's something we're talking about. We got to look at a bigger picture here. Commissioner Banther said we're a coastal city. Bayous all over. The gentleman mentioned, once the rains and the floods and the tides, all the bayous interconnect. In fact, historically, a lot of the sinkholes in Spring Bayou and the lake were all interconnected. So there was a natural flow of water to balance out. And anybody who knows water, if you even had a basic science experiment where you had a canister here, and a tube, and put blue water here and red water here, they're going to even out. I mean, that's just normal things. But I just want to share something I saw the other day that really put things into somewhat of a perspective. It was a few days ago, and Harvey was still pounding Houston with water, and I had taken my mom to the dentist's office. And if anybody of you go to Johnson & Allen and the Allen side, they've got an old map. I think it's like from 1758 or something, and it shows the southeast. And the neat thing about this map, we've heard about the Everglades being, the river of grass. But this map actually showed, in essence, South Florida as an island, as all these waterways and rivers and lakes crossed across probably somewhere between Sarasota and Punta Gorda and across Lake Okeechobee to Palm Beach. The other thing I observed on this map in the Houston area, if you looked at this original old map, in that area, probably 10 major rivers, all flowing down to the Gulf. In fact, if you look at that map and compare it to a current map of New Orleans, you can see where the delta in New Orleans had added soil and it filled out. So what's the lesson? What's the lesson? We can't keep building and trying to rely on the Corps of Engineers and our guys and the police department and everything to corral Mother Nature. It's a never-ending losing battle. We'll never be on top of it. And one last thing that I kind of want to emphasize here, importantly, to tie all this in, because I know people think, you know, I'm the environmentalist, I'm the wetlands guy, but all these things have consequences. Now, Neil deGrasse, that astronomer that talks a lot, you know, everybody's kind of seen him on TV. He made a point the other night, and I really have to share this. During the eclipse, thousands of people went to places where this eclipse would occur. They knew about it years, long time in advance. People planned weddings at Jackson Hole because they relied on this science of predicting, of knowing when things would occur from things we learn from science.
Mr. Delacus.
Same thing.
Mr. Delacus,
I know.
if you please
Same
finish
thing
up.
that the chief and Ms. Chief Young, and we see on the Weather Channel now. We're preparing because we can predict things to occur in the future from science. Yet, so many people relied on the eclipse information and rely on hurricane information, yet deny climate change. They're the same scientists. Watch the Weather Channel.
Thank you. Any other public comments? You hear none? Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for your input. We are now going to the consent agenda. Item number 3 is the minutes. August 1st, 2017, regular session. B is August 3rd, 2017, budget work session, and those minutes were corrected. August 15, 2017, regular session. Number 4 is satisfaction and release of liens. Number 5 is attorney fees, invoice 1367, 1368, 1369. Number 6 is special events. A is homecoming parade, September 28th, 2017. B is the Oktoberfest and the European Festival, October 6 through 8, 2017. C is the Jumbie Run, October 14, 2017. D is the Beach Dubai 5K, October 15, 2017. E is the Sponge Dogs Arts and Crafts Show, October 28 and 29, 2017. F is the Antique and Treasure Sale on November 4th. 7 is to approve Board of Commissioners meeting schedule changes for fiscal year 2018. And number 8 is the award number 17-155-B-RS, Supply and Deliver Custom Samitomo Mixers. Are there any items that you like to pull? Yes. Which one?
6.
Number
Special
6.
events, yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I think it's a great thing to see in a town of Tarpon Springs. I know we've got some issues we're dealing with as a whole, but to see a homecoming parade at our high school that we celebrate as a community, going through our downtown, to see multiple runs also that our community is involved with, from the beach to bayou to the zombie run, and also Oktoberfest and some of these other events going on within the city. I think it's a great thing to see, to show how thriving our city is with bringing people in to visit our city during those days, and also for the residents to come and visit at their homes that live here. They come out of their homes and celebrate these things as well. So I think it's a great sign to show that our city is doing some great things.
Are there any public comments on these items? Here none. The chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
Any commission comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Kikta?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes. We are now going to the special consent agenda, which is item number 9, healthcare insurance plan for fiscal year 2018. Mr. Licorice will do the presentation.
Yes, Ms. Niffin's coming forward now, and I think she's on the next 3.
Honorable Mayor, Board of Commissioners, Jane Niffin, HR Director. I'm here tonight to ask that you approve renewal of our current health care plan, Plan 15, which is provided by the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, effective for October 1st, 17 through September 30th, 2018. Without rehashing everything that's in the backup, I do want to make a couple of points that I think are very salient. One being that this is a very competitive and a very good health care plan. It is also a plan that we have been working with for many years. The city, in the 17 years I've been here, the city has made every attempt they can think of to contain costs while preserving as much of the benefit level for our employees. Because as we know, a good benefit plan is a very powerful recruitment and retention tool. It's very important, particularly if you're not at the top of the pack with salaries. You need something that is very beneficial to employees, and this is probably one of our best attractants. So having said that, we have done things like stepping down plans. We've modified the actual plan to go from a straight HMO to a HMO EPO type plan where people pay both copays and deductibles and coinsurance. The key to containing costs is early intervention and obviously the frequency reduction. Having said that, we have instituted things like the Wellness Center, which has had a great deal of success. We also have a wellness program through the Florida League of Cities, which offers seminars, all sorts of different topics. And as I can attest to, last week we have a very good Care 24 EAP plan, which we made very valuable use of last week. These sorts of things cannot be really measured in dollars and cents when they do provide such a valuable service. I'm also going to ask that since there is a cost increase, which is really when you consider the makeup of our plan, our demographics, our experience, and so on, the renewal is not out of line with similar cities of our size and composition. I'm also asking that you continue to fund 100% of the employee cost of the employee-only tier, and that the city share on a 50-50 basis the increase in cost to the dependents. That's all I have to say if anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much. I do have some questions that I'd like to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the attachment number 2, on that information we have shown some cities are, well, looks like everybody has increase on their coverage. Some of the cities are much higher than ours, others are very lower than us, and we are 7%. Treasure Island is, their increase 10%. Dunedin is 8%, but there are some others, like Largo, it's 5%. Pinellas Park is 3.9. St. Petersburg is 5.8. The question I want to ask you is, Is there anything that we can learn from them, from the cities that actually their increase is much lower than us?
Their increases, and I can't honestly tell you exactly why their increases are where they are, but I suspect that the size of the plan has a lot to do with it. The fact that they have larger numbers. We're a plan that Largo is larger than us. Pinellas Park, St. Petersburg, obviously. They have a larger pool of employees to spread the costs over. They also, I don't know what kind of experience year they've had. As you can see from the data I've provided, we have an experience or claims ratio of almost 0.83, which means that for every dollar that they collected, they spent 83 cents in claims alone, not counting any overhead. Every once in a while you have a bad year. And I can't honestly say they may have had a great year. And this has not been the best of years for us. So that's the best explanation I can give for that.
You also have to remember the plans they have. I mean,
yeah.
And we're going to be doing some of that. We are going to be looking. I've heard you about watching our plan stuff. We got this survey, which is the first thing we're doing, but we're also going to, after October, we'll be looking at all the health plans. For instance, a lot of the cities, and since I just went through a hospitalization of a son, the difference between those cities on here that have an 80-20 system and you're paying, then we have a 90-10. Paying that 10% of that outrageous hospital bill was a lot different for me, plus with the limit that we had. So you not only have to look at that, but you need to look at these other cities that may have been 5 and look at what their coverage is. Because I guarantee you we could step down to probably an 80-20 and we could probably reduce that down and stuff. But again, we talked about the benefit. So not only the experience, and we do know, as we've told you, we do have a catastrophic case that is close to $30,000 a month right now that affects it. But you also have to look at the plans and a different thing. And we are going to look at all the plans, not all of them, but a good portion of the plans from the different city to keep analyzing those things. And I've got the help of a new city manager. We're going to be looking at everything to do with this and really analyzing them and stuff and let you know.
Yeah, what's the new city manager?
Did you say we have a new city manager?
The Oldsmar new city manager. No, sorry, not the. With one of the new city managers in North County and stuff at the League of Cities, we are going to be looking because we're kind of in the same avenue. It's interesting dealing with the League of Cities. Safety Harbor used to be with us. They broke out, went to bid, and I think it's Florida Blue they have. And as you can see, their increase is 7%. The same as ours. But again, you have to look at so many of these things. So every year when we come back, we want to look at the plans the other cities got, the what those raises mean. Are they getting less of an increase because they've got a lower plan for employees? Believe me, this is one of the best plans of all the ones I've seen. And Jane's going to accumulate after October all these new plans that we've looking at. We'll analyze them and stuff so we have better ideas come budget time to give you the real comparison of the other plans, what they cost and what we give to our employees. Because as I said, with this system we got now with the wellness center, which a lot of our people have changed their primary positions from established one to them, and people who have had no physicians have changed them. But to look at the combination, but it's not a thing where we'll be set in stone every year and just coming back to you regurgitating. We're going to be doing a lot of study in the upcoming years and really analyzing things and letting you know what options are out there. So we just want to let you know for the future. We've heard some of the concerns. And again, I've got another city manager who's going to work with me, which gives us a little more capability of team because we're in the same boat. We share the clinic together, so we both got the same concerns. So one of the good things of going to those conferences like the League of Cities, we got together and talked about us. And for both cities, as we come up with the 2 years of the clinic that we've got left to go, we're going to be looking at us and make sure that every year that we do have the best available for the best cost and to make sure any of those cost rises are fully justified. So that's what the future is on these that's coming forward.
Okay, thank you. The healthcare clinic, the wellness center, this is not part of this agreement, is it?
I'm sorry.
The wellness center. Is
this part of this agreement or not?
it's all
It's, they run hand in hand. There's a separate contract for the clinic, but this renewal is predicated on using that clinic.
Okay. And I'm sure that clinic is very popular, and I'm sure it's reducing the absenteeism. Is there any way that you can provide us some kind of a data? Because having this benefit, and I'm sure it's very convenient to the employees to go, and you are must saving some kind of in regards to absenteeism, because people are not going out sick. They go there as soon as they don't feel as good. They go right away and they get the care that they need. Is there any way that you can provide some kind of a data?
We can try. We do track the clinic visits if the departments are recording them, which I believe they are. We can try to get some data. I can't guarantee the accuracy of it because we can't prove without going to ask somebody whether they've gone to the clinic and is their absence due to the fact that they did or didn't go.
Well, again, as I told many of you who've been around on the board a long time, I've told you when we talked about that thing, it's very hard to measure that because you have good and you have bad years. You have employees that are out for a lot, so you really can't just go into numbers. This year we averaged 6.3 a person. We dropped it to 5 point. Those can be skewed so many different ways by people hurt, people injuries, and the things that come up. So it's hard to. We can try to look as best as possible because what we're kind of tying into is that help our total absenteeism for the city by having that available to us is just a hard variable to get together because of just we have good years and we have bad years. We can try to look for that and try to get you as close as can be, but it's not always gonna be accurate. And sometimes it's just a good year that the absenteeism is good, but we can try to get that for you.
Mr. Licouris, I want to tell you that I used the clinic a couple times. They provide an excellent service. I think they're doing a very good job, and I can tell you that it's going to help in regards to the absenteeism because people go there before they really get sick. I was just wondering if we can get some of those numbers to be able to prove that. And finally, I want to say that I'm very glad that we be able to provide this great benefit to our employees. I think they deserve it.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Panther.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Jane, for your hard work on this. This is, I believe, our second largest item in the budget, just under payroll. So this is a large function that you manage, and I appreciate that. I know my wife's called you before with questions about things, and you're always very helpful, and so is your staff. I'll look forward soon to an update about the clinic. I think we're about due for one right in the fall. So the mayor's questions could be answered there, and more to learn about how that's benefiting. And I really do think that as we progress in this uncertain market of health insurance and medical care, that it is true that this is a large part of what our employees look at for their pay. If you're a civilian here in Tarpon Springs, you're not making a whole lot of money. So having your health insurance covered 100% and half your dependents is very competitive. I think we should remain that no matter which plan or provider we are now or in the future, and also maintain some type of care clinic no matter what we're doing, because I think that is a valuable asset. I know my take home pay is like $81 after the health insurance, so I'm very thankful for it. I'm just thankful how, you all do look at the human side. I know I'm a big numbers guy, and I've pounded y'all before about health insurance and the clinic, and I still will a little bit. I'm not quite done. But it is important to look at that human side because there is an aspect of that keeps people here, and we're always looking for that competitive edge because we can't pay the top rate. So I appreciate your hard work with this renewal. I think even though there is an increase, it seems to be along industry lines. And I look forward to another year with my friends from the League of Cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, for the update. Every year we hate to see if our insurance is increasing or not, but unfortunately it does happen, and you just don't know what experience that we will take on each year, and we don't know what other cities are, what they have going on. So I have to say, though, our insurance is really phenomenal. I've had to use it recently for a lot of tests and stuff, and I think total I paid $25, where I've had private insurance in the past, and you have to pay a lot more, hundreds of dollars. This is great insurance. Not only that at a cost for the procedures, but also the monthly costs. I think I was paying $110 a month for insurance just for myself. And like I said, the coverage just wasn't anything like this is. And so I'm happy that we can supply this to our employees as well, because it does help with, we know our employees aren't paid top dollar. And so hopefully this helps them out a little bit as well. But I don't know, and I know this has been an issue about, other private insurance, maybe just for the heck of it, before budget next year, just so we could see if we were to show everybody, if we had private insurance, this is what it would cost. This is your deductible. This is how much the fees are. This is what a monthly fee, or, everything. I mean, just lay it out there. And I think that it will prove that what we have right now is our best option. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Seaver?
Yes, thank you, Jane. And obviously, the value to our employees to have this insurance is a great benefit. And as Vice Mayor said, the human aspect is what we need to look at. Looking at these figures of these increases, to your point, I'm looking at the smaller cities had the larger increases. So these larger cities have more people that they can spread the cost. And you were saying that could be a reason, plus we may have had a bad year, but so it looks like from this attachment too, that some of the smaller cities had the largest increases, not having the spread. I also appreciate the wellness programs. I'm sure a lot of our employees do too, because you bring those to the employees, and I've seen the benefit in people who really appreciate those. So thanks for what you do, and appreciate your update.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Carr.
I've got a quick question, and again, I'm still new at this. So I recall Commissioner Banther asking for this to go back to bid some time ago, maybe 4 or 5 meetings ago. Has this gone back to bid for other health plans, or what's the plan with that? Is that something that happens on a annual basis, biannual, every 5 years, 10 years?
No, we've had this for a while, and again, kind of the thing that ties this in is when we did the 3-year agreement on the clinic. The health insurance is geared towards that. I don't think we can go out anywhere for a bid right now, at this moment, for clinic health insurance combination. But that's one of some of the new nuances I say we're going to be looking at. We're almost kind of tied in, because if you go out the bid, you're going to take the clinic, and someone else gets the bid, then the last 2 years the clinic, or if you did it next year, the last year the clinic would be off the table unless there's some other option. But all those options are things to look at. I can tell you, being here 39 years, not some, not 90%, every time we have gone out and strayed from the plan that we had, Florida League of Cities plan, or before that we had another group plan like that, 100% of the time in 39 years, we have gone crawling back, because you remember when you go out to bid, you get a 1-year bid to the company, and man, this bid looks low, and you take the bid. And I can tell you the last time we did it, I had a son that was born prematurely right in the middle of that switch. And it was a disaster, not only for me in that time, but for the rest, this new plan that was supposed to be a lot cheaper and stuff. And we scrambled to get off that thing, especially when the second year, now all of a sudden they throw this big lead out. So it has been a disaster every year. That's not to mean we don't need to look and study and look for alternatives down there, which we're going to do. But there's not been a time since I've been in the city where we've moved away from that we haven't gone crawling back within a year or two, because that's where it's been. But as I said, we're going to be looking at another city to increase our options and look at it for the next year or two when we come up for the time. And we got to do this and look at this thing. When we do it, we got to look at it in March, because it takes a good 4 to 5 month process to do that. But we're going to gear in before the next renewal of the whole thing going, and we'll be looking to see and give you the options and stuff. We're going to be watching every city that goes out to bid for plans. What actual plans are they getting at? We're going to be doing all that. So that's kind of the option when you go out and do that and stuff. But that's what I'm talking about. We're going to be doing from the time in October, looking at other plans, what cities have gone out of bid that, and really be able to show you more information in March. The March is when this comes up, so you can look at everything and see if that's something you want to do or not do. So that'll be coming up.
Thanks. I know with the ever-changing environment of health insurance, it's good to do something along those lines. And don't take this the wrong way, but when I hear something, we do it this way because we've always kind of done it this way and based on history. I do believe that we need to learn from history and not make the same mistakes. But with the ever-changing environment of health insurance, could be some opportunities out there.
And that's what we're going to be looking at.
And then also, it sounds like we're also working with a group right now, but is there a way to look at other cities potentially getting in with a group plan to have reduced rates? I'm not sure if that's an option or not.
Right now, we are a member of the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, which is a consortium, and I believe they have over 75 different cities involved in that. I'm not saying it mitigates to some degree the cost impact of bad years and premiums, etc. They do have they do cede off their larger claims to a pool, which does help buffer the costs for a city of our size. For us to go out on our own, when we did change to the Florida League of Cities, we were able to get the same plan from the league much cheaper than we could get it from United Healthcare directly, the same plan.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay. Do you want to say something? No? Okay. We're going to go to the public comments. Any public comments on this item? Here none. I will entertain a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Kikta?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther? Mayor LaHousas?
Yes. Item number 10 is the dental insurance plan for fiscal year 2018.
Okay. Again, Honorable Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I'm asking that you approve the renewal of our employee dental plan with the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, which currently uses a Delta dental platform for a period of 12 months commencing October 1st of 2017. At this time last year, we made the decision to move to Delta Dental because the United Healthcare plan was a little bit costlier, and if we could have stayed with it, but by switching we saved almost $15,000 a year in premiums. So we've been with them. The league is proposing no increase this year at all. So we're recommending that we continue the same plan with the same funding plan that we have in place right now. Any questions?
Any questions? Any questions? Any public comments on this item? Here none. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Roll call.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Kikta?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther? Mayor LaHousas?
Yes. Item number 11 is property and casualty and workman's comp insurance 2018.
Okay. Here we go again. I'm proposing that the Board of Commissioners approve renewal of our property and casualty and workers' comp insurances with the FMIT, Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, for a one-year period starting October 1st of this year. We did receive renewal notice this year. I'm not going to belabor the data that I've given you in the backup, but there is an increase. But if you look at the second page, over the period from 2006, starting in 2007, 2008 to current, our premium changes have gone down, even though they haven't this past year, or this proposed year. They have gone down over $400,000 over that time frame. In addition, we've also received return of property premium. And what that is when there's an event or a year that is fairly calm with regard to catastrophic events, there's a return of premium on 2 years ago property premiums. So the $27,000 that we got last year was from 2014-15, and the I believe it's $33,000 this year is going to be from the 2015-16 property insurance. After this weekend, we may not be receiving any in the next 3 years. Our work comp has gone up because, number one, there's been an increase in payroll, which always affects the bottom line. Our claims experience has gone up a little bit. With the new, let me step back a minute. Risk management itself, the management of the claims and the processing is handled in human resources. The citywide safety program is handled in the fire department. And we're hoping that with the addition of the staff in the fire department, they'll be able to put a great deal more focus on citywide safety because our frequency has gone up this past year. It's now 1.24. So that has an effect on the bottom line. Property insurance, we did have them come in and they did an assessment of our property. We removed things that we didn't need to have. We added insurance to buildings that needed more coverages. So the bottom line was the property insurance did go up by 9%. But now we feel that we're probably adequately covered and got rid of some of the things that we thought we could do without. And are there any questions?
Any commission comments, questions?
I've got one. I'm just gonna ask the same question. How often do we go to bid on this one for the property insurance?
Again, we're a member of the consortium, which provides us the strength of at least 75 to 80 cities. We have at one time did go out for bid, and we got a real surprise. The results were not exactly favorable, and because we've been with the league, we feel the economies of scale are worth staying with the league.
All right, is it like all or nothing? So if you're part of like other plans or other insurances with the league, or is it you kind of carve out? So?
These are all separate lines of insurance: the health, the dental, and the property casualty.
Are there other groups that do this too, like other than the League of Cities?
Yeah, we had a group bid on us one year, and actually, when they got our experience and all of our data, they declined to make a bid. It was Public Risk Management, and that's a corporation. It's actually I think my compatriot here can probably talk to it more than I can. Do you want to step up? This is Aaron Carper from the Florida League of Cities.
And good afternoon, or good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Aaron Carper from the Florida League of Cities. And although I'm only intelligently able to talk about the health portion of the League of Cities and our program, there are other institutions that do offer similar services than what we do. Obviously, I will speak to, all the great things that, you hear about with the League of Cities, what we offer, all our trainings, all our disaster symposiums. You'll see quite a bit of response here, from the League of Cities and PR and press, over the next several days with our response and the team that we have on the ground in our municipalities throughout the state to assist members with loss. We're all, whether it be health, dental, property, workers' comp, we're committed to do everything that we can to provide the best product we can to our membership at the most competitive prices. We do utilize that economies of scale in everything that we do. We are your association, and we are here to do everything we can to, create the best product, the best program, and do it with our partners and do it with our resources, with your bottom lines, your best financial bottom lines in mind. So.
But again, Commissioners, we told you it's not just health. We'll be looking at all aspects of the process. So we'll be looking at that also.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? Hear none. The chair will entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
And roll call.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Kikta?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther? Mayor LaHousas?
Yes. Thank you. We are now going to the item number 12, request to settle administrative lien, fine or lien on Zero Gulf Road. Zero is a number.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. As you can see, this request to settle administrative fine concerns a property on Zero Gulf Road. It's two adjoining parcels. These are code cases originating in 2005, 2005, and 2011 respectively, really to do with the maintenance of the property. The aggregate amount of the liens are about $7,500. And you can see the detailed report as to how those came to be. The amount offered is not specific. All we were able to get out of the applicant was that he would like to see an elimination or a drastic reduction in the fines. So he did not and was not willing to give me a concrete figure as to offer. So what I've recommended is $700 in principal plus $1,225 in administrative costs for a total of $1,925 to be paid within 60 days, as usual. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commission comment?
I've got a quick question. So the current owner, is the current owner not requesting the reduction? It's someone that's trying to bring in an investor to build on these properties?
Correct. As far as I can tell, the applicant wishes to buy the property and then to turn it over for development.
I was still trying to figure out where the property is. I don't, do you know
Well,
where it is?
it's on the corner of, it's right on the Gulf
Couldn't
Boulevard.
figure it out.
In the middle of, isn't it? So it's where Ennis and Park come out on the Golf Road?
It's right on the corner.
Oh, okay.
Right across
Okay.
the street from
And is that the
Tagarella.
actual
It's right
address,
across the
Zero?
street. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I think if the property's not developed, it doesn't have an actual address yet. So that's why you have a Zero Golf Road. So there might be multiple Zero Golf Roads on Golf Road. So that's why it's a little confusing on where it's at.
Okay.
Well, zero is a number though. So.
Just don't send a
I've been
letter to
working with one and zeros all my life. Are there any public comments on this item? Hear none. I need a motion.
I would motion to accept the city attorney's offer to settle for what it was $700 in principal.
Yes, yes, sir.
Plus the $1,225 in admin cost. So if my math minor is still correct, that's $1,925.
Oh, you're good.
Correct.
For 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second that.
And then
Have
60
a,
days
you
to
have a
pay?
first and second.
60 days to pay, yeah.
Roll call.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Kikta?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther? Mayor LaHousas?
Yes. We are now going to the item number 13, which is the ordinance 2017-24, vacate right of the way on East Orange Street between the Jessamine Avenue and the sports complex. This is a second reading, quasi-judicial. The city attorney will read the title, and he will explain the quasi-judicial process.
Ordinance 2017-24, an ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, vacating and abandoning right-of-way for 19,100 square feet of East Orange Street between Jasmine Avenue and Sports Complex, providing for conditions, providing for findings, providing for future easements, providing for recordation of the public records of Pinellas County, and providing an effective date. The second reading of ordinance 2017-24 was published in the Tampa Bay Times by title only on August 11 and 18, 2017. This is quasi-judicial. We had a full quasi-judicial hearing on this matter on August 15. Applicant is the city, so what I would ask for Mr. Cerna, who I believe is sitting in for Heather this evening, to first of all be sworn and then update the commission on any change conditions. If you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. Louis Cerna, Calvin Giordano, and Associates representing staff. I'll be brief. There has been no additional information, so I'm just here to answer questions on behalf of staff if you have any.
Questions?
No question.
No question.
No question? Mr. Mayor. take public
How-
comment and have a motion.
Any public comments on this item? Hear none? I will entertain a motion
Motion approved.
Second.
and roll call.
Commissioner Carr?
Here, yes, sorry.
Victor?
Yes.
You got it.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther?
Yes.
Mayor LaHousas?
Yes. That was quick.
Thank you, Louis.
Item number 14, Resolution 2017-34, Golf Course Fee Amendments.
Resolution 2017-34, resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, authorizing changes in the fees utilized by the Golf Course Division of the Public Services Department, including elimination of the Florida resident discount, adding a discount card program, and providing for an effective date hereof. It's Resolution 2017-34 by title only.
Good evening, Paul Smith, Public Services Director, and I want to thank you for your attention to this item. With me tonight is Howard Hunt, the golf course manager, and I'm going to ask him to give you just a short overview of the purpose of what we're asking for tonight. But it's really two things you'll see there. There's a slight adjustment recommended in the rates. This is the first time in about 4 years that we've asked for this rather small increase. I would call it of an inflationary level. And then within that, we've come up with a new promotional concept, the discount card, which we hope you'll find will benefit our residents and also be attractive to nearby golfers. And for that, I'll ask Howard Hunt to come up and speak. I'd just like to say, Howard's been with us now a little over 3 years, and he's a turf guy. Turf science is his background, and I've noticed the golf course looking better than ever, and I think that plays into us being able to ask for a slight rate increase because our conditions certainly warrant it out there. So, Howard, thank you, and if you could explain a little bit.
Sure. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, for having me here tonight to speak on this behalf. And when I was hired 3 years ago, one of the first things me and Paul sat down and went over was a little 5-year plan, what we wanted for the golf course. And one of those, the main thought in that 5-year plan was the fiscal health of the golf course. So, and what we needed, though, was the first 2 years. City made a big investment back in 2014 and renovated the greens. I'm sure all of you, most of you know that. Maybe not Commissioner Carr is new, but made a pretty good investment on renovating the greens at that time in the summertime. And there's been some other capital improvements like car barn and maintenance shed. And one other thing that we needed to accomplish too was renovating our driving range. So the greens was in 2014, the driving range in 2015. And what I was telling Paul, we needed a couple of years because the golf course needed a lot of attention in a lot of other areas, not just the greens and the driving range, but we had a lot of bare areas in the roughs. The course just didn't look like it needed to be. And when you ask for a rate increase, obviously we're asking y'all to approve the rate increase, but who are we asking on the rate increases? Our patrons to pay more, right? So you've got to make sure your product is where it needs to be before you go out and ask for that, okay? Because you could lose business. So we feel very comfortable where we are right now. I'm pleased with the way things are progressing, and I just think it's the right time for us to try to implement this. Not only the rate increase, when we sat down and talked about the rate increase, we also, in the golf shop, we like to listen to our patrons, and one of the things was, especially with the local citizens, we had a Florida resident rate and a non-resident rate. And what was happening is a lot of the people who come to Tarpon Springs because they love the city, they might not be year-round residents, okay, but they might own property here, rent here, live here for months out of the year. And when they came into the golf shop, because they weren't year-round Florida residents with a Florida driver's license, that was kind of the thing that proved that they were Florida residents. We got some backlash. They felt kind of like they were like being picked on a little bit. So we are a public golf course, correct? We're open to the public. So it really doesn't matter where you're from. Okay, we want all of you to come, right? But we don't want to leave at the citizens out of Tarpon Springs either. So the discount card was a way to hopefully increase our business, but also offer something to the local guys who come play with us and ladies who come play with us year round. And that's why we're going to offer the discount card to them for free. We're going to charge $3 to anybody else who buys the card who does not live or have. We've come up with ways to determine whether they are Tarpon Springs people or not. But we'll charge $3 to everybody else, and we'll offer that to them for free. And I think they'll appreciate that. And of course, the goal there is to see how that goes. This is brand new. I'm not usually totally favoring discounts because you can't discount yourself out of a hole. You got to make sure, your discounts are where you can still be fiscally responsible. But this is kind of we're dipping our big toe in the pool there to see how warm the water is. And if it goes well, we'll track it. Our POS system is wonderful. You've seen your spreadsheet on the rates. How many is on there? Like 25. So I can pull up at any time through our system how many players that have come to play golf at each one of those rates. So we'll have the same thing with a discount card. We'll know how many discount cards we sell, and we'll know how many times that discount card gets used. So we'll track it over this first summer. May expand it if we like what we see. But we just we ask for your support on what we've got planned here in front of you. Any questions?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to compliment you the way the golf course looks.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful. And I support your recommendation to offer discount cards to our residents and to the season residents, and make it affordable for them to play. My question is, how do we compare ourselves to the other golf courses?
Well,
quality and price-wise.
Right. So we take a survey every year of what the other fees are at the other golf courses, and we like to keep ourselves just a little bit below the median, okay? Because we are a public golf course, we're a municipal golf course, so we don't want to get ourselves too high on the rate scale, because then I think it will drive away business. The golf industry is very competitive now, so everybody's offering all kinds of deals, and they're cutting their prices, especially in the summertime. Our immediate competition are golf courses like Crescent Oaks, Wentworth, Dunedin somewhat. It's a city golf course, and they're open to the public. Clearwater up the road. A few courses north of us. But what we did when looking at these rates, we called the Mangrove Bay, which is owned by the city of St. Petersburg, to look at how they're doing some of their discount. They offer a discount card too, so we got ideas from them. We're very competitive. We're not too high, but we're also not too low. So we feel good about what we're asking for here and keeping it there. And that $40 is kind of a threshold, okay? When people have to start pulling out more than 220s, sometimes they get a little frisky about that. But anyway, I think we'll be okay.
Thank you. Any commission comments? Commissioner Kickler.
Thank you.
You're a golfer, right?
Well, I'm trying, and he's the best the teacher there is, but I just can't do it. No, it's just too hot. I tried going out there, and it's just too hot. So hopefully, when the weather, that's always an excuse.
There you go.
After the storm, you can.
Yeah, after the storm. But I have to say, since Howard's come on board, the golf course looks fantastic. There's used to be so many complaints. It was just horrible condition. And then when we did try to raise the rates at one point, we've got a lot of backlash for it because of the condition. So, you hit the nail on the head there. You had a plan. You got the golf course in great shape right now. It looks fabulous. I can only take about 9 holes and I'm done, but it looks great. And so it makes sense to me. Paul had called me during the week and, really explained this better to me, because I know every time we ask for an increase, I get some phone calls from some of the guys in town. But this makes sense, and we are in the ballpark with everybody else. We are very competitive. We're not overpriced. You say Landsbrook, you think we're pretty competitive at Landsbrook, aren't we?
Well, I named Crescent Oaks and Wentworth, and I'm glad you brought them Landsbrook up. They're right down the road. Tarpon Woods as well, which I think Tarpon Woods is going up under new ownership. But we're actually cheaper than all those golf courses. And the nice thing about Tarpon Springs, my experience being here so far, is we're really, other than Dunedin, the only option up and down Alt 19. All those other golf courses are on McMullen Booth, East Lake, McMullen Booth. All the roads in Florida, they change the name, you're on the same daggum road, so it's hard for me to keep up with them. But anyway, so they're all on McMullen Booth, which is what, 5 miles, 6 miles, about 6 miles over.
Right.
So the nice thing about where we're located is we're kind of there's only a few options up and down the Alt 19 corridor. And there's very few golf courses on 19. I mean, you've got Ennisbrook, but I mean, we're not the same. It's like in the golf business, we like to say it's comparing apples to oranges. You know, Ennisbrook's a different fruit than what we are. So, you know, we don't look at it. We don't look at them anyway. They're a resort.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, you know, the nice thing is that helps us out a lot. You know, because a lot of the people that live up and down that corridor come play with us.
And I know they're trying to increase play during the summer times because it is hot out there, and I know, and I can just tell, I live right by the golf course. It's empty, and we need to do something to attract more people during the summer.
Absolutely, and that's why the discount card is focusing on that summer
I
rate.
think it's a great idea. But what we also need to work on is getting a new little cafe out there and get that built up. You know, Mark, that is one of my hot topics. I really. We really, and I will continue for a fight for that because I know that we could generate more money. So many people will come out to our golf course and
absolutely
and patronize us. And I think and they did in years past, and I think they'll do it again. So, but again, Howard has done a phenomenal job since he's come here.
Thank you.
He's awesome. And just to listen to his accent, though, I love it.
It's very refreshing.
Isn't it? I know. I love it. But I'll be back when the weather gets cooler, so we can.
Please do. You and Mr. Steve also bring him as well.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Panther.
Thank you. I am not a golfer. I'm horrible at all sports. But I got to see it at the recent Citizens Academy, and it really is a nice golf course. And it's nice to have that affordable option close by. Like I said, that's the definition of a full service city that we have a very nice golf course and something that's appropriate for a town that services many seasonal residents. And this discount thing, like what I talked about before with Mark and staff, while it's nice, we're giving them a discount. I think it's a more feel good thing for them, which is important. Like they're a part of Tarpon when they're here, more so than just saving $1 or $2, and that can go a long way. So I'm glad that we're doing that. I'm sure you'll update us after season and get to see how that went. But I would come to lunch there. Y'all expand your menu. So, I think that's a nice little cafe you got there. It does need to be remodeled. So if we get penny money for that, that'd be perfect. An outdoor part that's suitable for cool weather. So you have done a great job. I only hear good things about the golf course. And I know former Vice Mayor Townsend is out there all the time now golfing.
He does. He enjoys it.
Yeah. He calls me to come out. It's way too hot, I tell him. But he has that heat resistance. So, but anyway, thank you very much, Howard.
Commissioner Super.
Yes, Howard, we've come a long way since you've been here, and I really appreciate it. You did have a goal, and you're following your goal and your plans. I remember there was some resistance to spending that money to fix up that golf course from some people, and I'm so happy that we did it, and we've improved it tremendously. When I spoke to Paul, it made total sense what you guys are recommending. And we talked about marketing the golf course, and you all have someone doing that now.
Yes.
In fact, I'm a big marketing person for the city of Tarpon Springs.
Yeah.
So
we started our social media, I think, a year ago. Was it a year ago? Something like that.
So
Hadn't done that before.
Hopefully that helps to bring, especially in the summer when we just, are twiddling our thumbs here in Tarpon. So, yeah, great job, and thank you for what you're doing.
Commissioner Carr?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to offer this discount card to the residents of Tarpon Springs, so I'm also in favor of this. Thanks for bringing it in front of us, Paul, also, and giving a little bit of history of where we're at the golf course. Where would somebody get one of these cards if this were to pass?
They'll have to come to the golf shop.
At the golf shop, okay.
Yes.
And you guys
we'll have the cards printed out and put their name on it, laminated if they want it, laminated, that type thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Just another comment too. I'm support with Commissioner Kikta about the cafe if there's an opportunity to attract.
Well, if I may expand on that while I'm here.
Go for it.
So one thing that we are a little bit handicapped on is being able to offer golf to large crowds. I'm sure the ones that do play some probably have played in a fundraiser or two in their lifetime. And of course, that's a way for any organization to raise money. Let's say the Rotary Club wants to have a fundraiser to raise money for whatever cause, and they want to have a golf tournament. So the three factors that go into that, and what I mean by that is where they decide to have this fundraiser, golf tournament, the three main factors are going to be price. Well, we can definitely handle that. It's going to be course conditions. We're there. But then the third thing is, where can they go have their after golf function where they present the prizes, they have a meal, they have a little social event. We don't have that. I mean, we would be hard pressed to get 70 people in that snack bar sitting down, and then they'd be shoulder to shoulder. So that's what hurts us. The food service is great. I mean, but we can cater that out if we have to. We just don't have the capacity. And so, because most of your fundraising golf tournaments are going to be anywhere from 20 to 25, sometimes 30 foursomes. So you do the math, that's 100 people basically, average of 100 people. We don't have anywhere to put 100 people. So that does make it difficult for us to attract that kind of extra business. So, but, you know, hey, we're moving in the right direction. We'll get there. And then hopefully whenever we have, you know, available funds, we can maybe go try to do something about it. So, yeah. And by the way, if you don't mind me saying, I came to Tarpon Springs, was attracted here for the benefits, and I used a free clinic, have used it every year since I moved down here. So I think it's great.
That's why you're healthy, right?
That's right. Any other questions?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? None?
Ron?
I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Kikta?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Banther?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes, thank you.
I take it off prematurely.
Item number 15 is the PSTA appointment, that I'd like to talk about that for a little bit. As you all know, we received a notification from the PINELLAS Suncoast Transit Authority, known as PSTA. It's our turn to appoint someone from our commission board to represent the cities of Safety Harbor, Oldsmar, and Tarpon Springs. This appointment rotates between three cities, and it's now our turn in Tarpon Springs to appoint an elected official to serve on this PSTA board. The term of this appointment will be from October 1st, 2017 to September 30th, 2020. When I was a commissioner, I also had the privilege and the honor to serve on the board, and I tell you, it's very, very good. My fellow commissioners, I would like to nominate Vice Mayor Panther to represent our cities and to be the voice, our voice to PSTA. Is there anybody else that wants to be nominated? No. Well, I need to have any comments on that. First, I'd like to ask you, Vice Mayor, you will accept it.
I would
you know,
love
you've
to.
been drafted.
I've been a vocal, I'm not going to say critic, I've been a vocal supporter of a proper bus system in North County, especially Tarpon Springs. I've said ad nauseum that our residents pay the same millage rate as those down county. We receive less than half the services. We have residents in this town, elderly, low income, etc., that are in need of this service. So it'd be my goal on this commission, I'll be representing Tarpon, Oldsmar, and Safety Harbor to do what I can to increase our bus system up here in the north part of the county, and make sure that the funds as a whole of the PSTA are being spent properly. I think I could use some of the Tarpon fiscal conservative ways we have to bring down to that board, and hopefully be able to offer them some perspective. So I appreciate you nominating me. Obviously, I can't fulfill the whole term because I am termed out. So, but I will be happy to serve on this board for the remainder of my term on this commission.
Thank you. Any commission comment? Commissioner Super.
Yes, I think it's an excellent choice. I would love to serve on that board, but I'm on the Homeless Leadership Board that Mr. Commissioner Vice Mayor Banther offered me 3.5 years ago.
So well, though. You do very well.
So, but that's a great board to be on, and I know that you'll do a great job.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Well, are there any public comments on this item? Nobody's here, so.
There's Derek in the back. Does our bodyguard have a comment?
Vice Mayor Panther, we'll give you your first assignment.
Yes, sir.
The letter that it's right in front of you there, it was sent to the PSTA back in June, and if you please have him to give us an update on the senior transportation. This is something that we invited Mr. Miller, and he gave us a presentation on the Senior Information Center. Well, we sent him this letter, we never got any response, so if
You can
please,
trust one of my first orders of business will be a meeting with Mr. Brad Miller, and I will discuss this need, and you can be assured you'll see more of him or whomever's in that position here in Tarpon Springs.
Yeah, thank you. Vice Mayor, congratulations, and if you please give us periodically reports,
Yes, sir.
appreciate it. Thank
Okay,
you.
do we need a vote or is consensus enough?
Consensus.
Consensus? We do have consensus?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We are now going to the item number 16, which is the budget update. City manager will present this item.
Although Ron's gonna fastly go through these slides because I can condense it into very short what you see. We want to give you the last update. Obviously, we have the first public hearing tomorrow night, and then before the next commission meeting, just to show you our business is done. We still have a balanced budget, and Ron's going to quickly go through most of these slides you've seen before. He's just updated to show you where we are on this, and then I just want to talk after Ron does about one other issue that's come up. So, Ron.
Another issue.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Ron Herring, Finance Director. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a brief update on the fiscal year 2018 dadgum budget. I'm just joking. I get a kick out of Howard's accent.
I know, isn't it great?
Dadgum budget.
As I say, we want to do this update before the public hearing tomorrow night at 6:30. And as you know, we sent out an executive summary last week, electronic version. We spared you the 3-inch version of it, but we do have an electronic copy if you want it. And now I'll go into my brief presentation. As you say, it's a budget presentation as of today with all the current numbers in it as of September 5th. The total city proposed budget is $55,717,837, an increase of $486,000 over 2017 budget. The 5 largest funds, the general fund at $23.7 million, the water and sewer fund at $16 million, the sanitation fund at $4.9 million, the penny fund at $3.1 million, the stormwater fund at $2.2 million, and those 5 funds right there total $50 million, which is 90% of the $55 million. The capital, which is included in most of those above funds, for capital improvement projects, $7.9 million. Capital outlay for equipment like vehicles and computers, $1.3 million, for a total of $9.3 million. And a lot of these same slides you've seen before, but budget assumptions today, all funds are balanced. General fund balance without using unassigned fund balance. Property taxes, property values, we've budgeted 7.8% for the property taxes. Millage rate is unchanged at 5.42. And the total increase for property taxes is $611,301. $593,196 is a general fund portion, and the CRA fund portion is $18,105. Some more of the budget assumptions, and before getting the budget update, I actually went in and put in the actual increases on all the salaries, but non-union salary increases budgeted to the actual is $455,000. Police and fire union increases are funded at 4% for $201,000. Health insurance, we brought it back to the actual 7%, and it's a total increase of $205,855. Mostly a lot due to a catastrophic claim, and this increase is funded by insurance reserves. Dental and life insurance, we brought it to the 0% change. There was no increase. Workers' compensation, we brought it up to the 15%, an increase of $65,000. Property insurance, we brought it to the 9% for an increase of $48,592. Retirement accounts, we haven't changed any. We still have the police at the actual rate of 8.14%. It's down from 8.79% last year, a decrease of $26,000. Fire, we have it at $728,000 per the actuary, increases from $709,306, an increase of $19,270. And general employees is still funded at the 8.7%. There's no change. The new positions in the budget for fire, we have the Deputy Chief EMS Coordinator, the firefighter paramedic, planning department, we have a new city planner, police department, a police officer. And this is just comparing the budget as it is today to what you got back in June, on June 20th, at the $55,717,000. So it's an increase of $275,000. The general fund change I got on a future slide. The SAFER grant was eliminated for the firefighter paramedics, but from what I hear, we're still in the running for that. CRA adjustment to a change in property taxes, and penny fund, we had some additional projects we allocated there. And we adjusted the interfund transfers from the enterprise funds for sanitation, stormwater, and golf course. And this is the list of what changed between June 20th to today in the general fund. We had the new city planner position, the new police officer, some fire personnel adjustments, capital allocated to the penny fund, capital request that was totally eliminated for Riverside Field fence, police operating expenditure reduction, health, dental, life, workers' comp, insurance decrease, adjusting it to the actual, an impact study for police, fire, library of $55,000, a historical district study, trolley increase to the contract amount to $37,502. City clerk office remodel, we have 50% of that budgeted in the general fund, and we have a reserve for minor capital, which now has a total of $114,798. And that's the total increases from June 20th of $82,822. And just going forward, we've got tomorrow, first public hearing on the tentative millage and tentative budget. Budget ads will, as required, will be on Friday, September 15th. The second and final public hearing will be on Tuesday, September 19th, and October 1st, 2017, the first day of the fiscal year 2018. And this is a slide that was in here.
First, we'll ask if there's any questions. Again, that's where we've got it going into the budget with a balanced budget still. So if there's any questions about this portion for Ron.
I've got one real quick. If you could, Ron, just hit for me with all the people in the audience, I'm sure they're really curious about this and watching online, is the unassigned funds. So we've got a potential hurricane that's impeding on our area. We've got double the unassigned funds in the account that's required, is my understanding, right? So with this
Correct.
coming, it gives us the opportunity, if there is an emergency citywide, for us to use some of those funds when needed, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Okay. I think that's important for the residents to know, that maybe come back and watch this, that we see this large number, even some of the employees see this large number, and they're like, that's $8 million. You guys have double what you need in there. But it's for opportunities or situations that could be arising this coming weekend. So it is, I mean, yes, it looks like a large number, but it could be used pretty quick when you have a heavy emergency like what potentially could happen.
Yeah, and another reserve is in our sanitation fund. We have about $2 million unrestricted that we like to keep there just to cover debris removal until we can get reimbursement from FEMA. In our risk management fund, we try to keep $1 million in there.
That's good to hear.
Is that in addition to or separate?
In addition to, separate fund, risk management fund.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
Well, Mr. Harry, thank you for the presentation and thank you for all your work. Please thank your staff.
I will
also
do.
like to express my appreciation to the Budget Advisory Committee for the work that they did helping you out.
They do a
and
great
the,
job.
Recommendations that they provide to you. I am very pleased that we have a balanced budget for the second year in a row. And like Commissioner Carr says, we have a very healthy saving reserves, which makes me feel very good knowing that the hurricane is out there. While I was in the Florida League of Cities, I was talking to a vice mayor to one of the cities that actually got involved in the hurricane down in during the Andrew hurricane. At that time, they had 38% saving, and they spent every penny they had. They had to go and borrow money in order to be able to pay for the damages that they had. Yeah. So I'm feeling very good that we are in a good shape financially. Knock on wood, if anything happens, we're ready for it.
Okay.
So with all that, we were also able to create 3 positions, as you stated, one for the fire department, one for the planning department, and one for the police department. And I'm hoping next year we'll be able to create a new position for marketing specialist. I think it's going to be very beneficial to our local economy. We'll keep that in mind. Couple questions that I have on slide number 7. Capital allocated to penny fund. It says 125,000. What is that for? Would you please explain?
When we were trying to reallocate some of the capital from the general fund, we found that there was some we could move to the pennies fund. So that was some projects we moved to the penny fund. I think there were some public works yards improvements, some parking lot improvements for the library and cultural center. It totaled 125,000.
Okay. And also on the same slide on the very bottom, it says reserve for minor capital total Inc. balance 114,798. We budgeted $43,538.
The 43, when you got the June 20th budget, there was like 71,000 in there. Okay. This is an additional 43,000 to bring it up to 114,000 just for some minor capital. Even like this year, we've had 6 or 7 air conditioners that we didn't know that were going to go, but we had a little bit of money there. So it's just that 114,000 is just reserved off in the general fund.
Thank you. That's the questions I have. Any comments? Any questions? Mr. Licouris, you have another part?
Yes. Put the other slide up there. Again, nobody, especially people on the board, like to talk about their own salary. I got involved with looking at the salaries for the mayor, because you know we do our study of the city employees and all the positions, and we've always had the position to go to the mid-range, to try to be in the middle, not highest, not lowest, but in the middle, and that's what we've achieved. Former Mayor Archie kind of did it the right way. He was going out of office, so it wouldn't affect him, and he brought up to me to do the salary survey for commissioners and mayor, with the argument that he thought they should be raised and to bring it forward. One of the biggest things that stopped that from happening there was, probably the biggest obstacle was the city of Dunedin, because they were at about the same to us. Even on this list here at the Gulfport was less too. So really when the numbers came up and with Dunedin being the same, it wasn't as good an argument to do. Well, as we learned the League of Cities and we learned from this new study, things have changed. Dunedin, for the first time in probably as long as we haven't done it, I think 1999, they've substantially raised their compensation for mayor and commissioners. Gulfport also has a proposed increase, and the city of Pinellas Park is just, I think, adding the 3% increase to their commissioner mayor salaries that the rest of the employees got. What I wanted to present to you is this new study, and there's a lot of different ways you can divide. We tried to do some different scenarios, and there's a lot of different numbers and the way you can do it. I think probably one of the most telling, and it's pretty close, is the average without Clearwater, because you're taking probably the biggest one out, but also the cities under 10K population. And when you do that one, the average is 13.5 for the mayor and 10.5 approximately for commissioners. I think out of all the different conniptions you can do with this study and stuff, that is probably the closest it could be to be in the mid-range, and that is from a study. Even when you go and study with Clearwater in there and the cities under 10K, it's 13.7 and 10.6. So nobody likes to do it when they're in office because some people it's not worth the grief. I know there's the argument about that you don't do the job for money, but to be consistent with the rest of the salaries, I thought I need to bring this change up to you, show you kind of where it is, and see if you wanted to address this issue. This is something that can be addressed now, or it can be addressed later, or it can be not addressed at all. But I thought it important with these new numbers and what we learned at the League of Cities from Dunedin and what they were drastically doing with their salaries, that I bring it forward for y'all to discuss, and of course you to decide what direction you want to take on it.
Any comment?
No, thank you, Mark, for bringing it. I know we looked at this 2 years ago, and we did hear from some of the other commissioners at the League of Cities of their increases. I don't know, how many years has it been?
99?
99?
Dunedin was 99. Ours has been a long time.
Ours has been longer?
It,
one of the things that I was curious about, and I think Dunedin was looking at putting something in their charter to look at an increase every 5 years or so, that we have something along those lines, or do something to, rather than every 20 years we have a huge jump, that we might look at doing something as far as looking at increases more frequently, to attract also, commissioners I mean, we're terming out 2 of us, but commissioners in the future or candidates in the future.
I think Pinellas Park, I think they just decided to give this board the same raise, the average raise that they're giving the rest of their employees, the 3% raise that. So there's a lot of different.
Another option. You're right. So that would be something.
We'd also talk, I think, about cost of living. That's sometimes hard to make, but there's many different ways commissions have done this, though, whether it's cost of living, whether it's just what the employees get, or, setting a new bar. So, there's a lot of different options.
So is this something that we could, I'm sorry, Maria.
No,
but is
go
this
ahead.
something that we could propose to the, oh my gosh.
Budget advisory.
No, not budget advisory. Charter Review Committee. How often do they meet? Are they due to meet anytime soon?
They meet every 5 years.
I don't really think this is a charter issue.
Okay.
Because a charter, you have to go to charter. This is an issue that I think is an issue that needs to be decided by the board. I don't think this is
not a charter issue.
Is a charter issue.
Yeah.
So
I think they talked to their attorney about this, and Dunedin.
Yeah, they may have something already in their charter. I don't know Dunedin's charter offhand. I know that there are communities in Pinellas County and elsewhere have compensation, either the baseline set in the charter with, as you've mentioned, Commissioner, various or periodic review from time to time. Other communities have it strictly in their ordinances governing their governing body. So it's not presently in your charter, so it doesn't need to be a charter issue. That doesn't stop you from approaching it that way. But I would,
an ordinance, you're saying?
Well, in light of the fact that you don't have any, it's not presently governed. You could do it by ordinance or resolution. Either way, it'd be fine. If there is a desire to review that on a more regular basis, you could do that by ordinance. You could do it by charter as well, but I would think that an ordinance would serve you just as well.
Mr. Clark, what's your take on that?
About ordinance or resolution?
No.
Oh, the increase. Oh, yeah. I think that I mentioned, I sent an email about it too. The City of Largo wasn't a part of the survey, I think, or they didn't reply. And I think, Mark, you said the commissioners are around 13,000 a year, I think. Or 13,400. But none of us do this for the money. I think that's everyone understands that it's not about the money. It's about our community and best impacting our community. So, but the realization is that there is a lot of time that's involved. I know that's not considered a full-time job, but I could attest that there is many hours that I spend a week preparing for meetings and meeting with individuals out in the community, and also reaching out to other low elected officials throughout the state and county. So I do understand that there should be some type of compensation structure as well. So I'm for seeing an adjustment if it hasn't been adjusted. And if we said Dunedin last was adjusted in 1999 and Tarpons was sometime before that, I mean, that's how many, we're looking at almost 20 years ago. So I think it's probably time to address this.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Penn.
Yes. I'm the next one to expire on this board. So as I look at this, I would do this for free. I think we all have to gauge You know, I don't think anybody does this for the money. You'd be insane. It's not worth it. You got to do it because you love your hometown, and you know, that's why you do it. So the money is just a side thing. It's hardly a perk. I think we need to look at, and Judy did a very good job in laying this out for us. You know, you need to look at total compensation. And if you look at your budget worksheets, or rather your budget work, and you come to my name on the line item, because I'm on the health insurance obviously, and I'm free, but I have my wife and daughters on there. The city actually pays almost $25,000 for me a year. So to me, in looking at my total compensation, that's more than fair for the services that I provide. So I realize I think I'm the max. I don't think anybody else is at that level. So obviously, if it's just you on the insurance, I think you're at like 17,000. So again, I'm not going to stand in the board's way because I'm expiring. If y'all want to give raises or do anything like that, I didn't realize it's been that long since the board has been given a raise. But I myself am not in favor of increasing pay. And if the board decides to do it, which I won't stand in your way or stop it or anything, I won't accept the raise for myself. I will finish my term with the current salary and benefits that I have.
Well, thank you. I feel the same way when I do this for the money. And also like to point out that the salary that we get also includes benefit, like Vice Mayor has just stated. To me, serving on the Board of Commissions as a mayor, it's not a job, it's a calling. It's something that serving the people of Tarpon Springs. If we have, and I tell you, I'm not in favor to give ourselves a raise. If we have any extra money that we like to spend, we always use the money for senior programs or programs for the youth. So I'm not in favor for it. We don't have anyone here to ask for public comments, so I'm going to ask for motion. Motion to accept the budget update, and I guess we're going to need two different motions, one for the budget update and the other one for the increase.
Really, if you're gonna consider the increase, what we do is bring you back a resolution. What we're doing that is bring you back a whatever.
So we're going to
I kind of don't know where the consensus is on this.
So
but
now you wanted to vote just for the update?
I don't necessarily think we need to vote on the update. I'm just updating you on where we're going into the public hearings tomorrow. So I don't think
The budget update is not an action item.
It's not an action item, so.
this would be just direct to do, as I said, and that's
Okay.
my recommendation, a resolution.
Well,
If there was a wish of raising those and you know,
So
it could be a resolution next meeting, or it could be tabled to another time, or it just, you know,
Okay.
what direction, if any direction. I just want to throw these facts out to you of where they are, and you give me direction.
Well, one second. We need to give you a direction, so we need to tell you if you're going to bring a resolution on increase or not. And I guess we can go down the line and see what everybody thinks. Commissioner Kick.
So we're at 8,000, the commissioners here are at 8,000. So if we did a 3% raise, I mean, that's, you know, well, whatever our staff got, well, they all kind of fluctuated, but say the cost of living 3%, I mean, that's how much? Not a whole lot. Yeah, is it worth it?
Less than $300.
Just the public. Well, okay.
So, what do you want?
Okay, so we're at 8,000, and if we went to Dunedin, say, and we split the hairs and say we'll go to 10.5,
I feel like, do we want to be the lowest? I don't know. I just like
Can
look
we
at,
go one at a
sorry,
time?
you know.
like, you know, and like I only pay for, you know, my insurance is the only one that's paid for with the city, and I mean, to me that alone is a huge benefit. So I mean, you know, if the board decides, you know, to give us a raise, that's fine, but to me, again, we're getting benefits. I mean, that's worth it in itself. And I notice here that Oldsmar doesn't even give benefits.
Correct.
Oh my.
Oldsmar doesn't get any benefits at all.
I'm shocked, absolutely shocked to see that. And again, if we did 3%, is it really worth going through the, you know, the motions for
And
that?
there are
I
some
don't
other
know.
cities, like St. Pete Beach doesn't have any benefits, Treasure Island doesn't have any
I am
benefits.
so shocked on that. So I don't know, I mean, whatever the will of the, the board is, whatever.
Well, we need to go,
Oh.
we need,
I don't see the benefit.
so you say none?
No.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
No.
You don't see the excuse me, you don't see the benefit in the 3%, you don't see the benefit in increasing the
So
board?
10.5 over a year is how much in a year? But,
It's an additional
all right.
$2,500 a year.
Divided by 52 with
Yeah.
taxes taken out.
Like I said, I think that, I think a benefit alone is having health insurance. And I think that's generous right now.
Commissioner
My
Seaver?
thoughts.
Well, I looked at these other cities that aren't getting benefits, and I think some of them, like Treasure Island and Oldsmar, only has 14,000 in population. Treasure Island and St. Pete Beach are even smaller. So we're also a full-service city, and some of the others aren't. So I think that's where the difference is with their pay. But I'm also thinking not about our board, but also attracting qualified people to run as candidates in the future, and they look at the time spent. And I know that we get great benefits. I agree with that. But I feel that we can't just wait every 20 years to look at this. I think that we need to have something like that we decide
I think it needs to be looked at more often.
And everyone around us is getting increases, so I decided it'd only be fair for us to look at maybe increasing this also.
What did you propose?
Well, you mentioned 10.5. That to me would be something to start at. Because comparing us to Dunedin, they do have a little bit bigger population. They're not a full-service city, so they don't have the extra responsibilities. But they went from 8 to 11.5, so that's quite a jump. So I think that we need to look at this more often so that we don't have those kinds of increases. But I would agree that
at this time, what do you recommend?
Probably the 10.5 would.
10.5?
Yeah.
10.5 for commissions and 13.7 for mayor, or leave it the way it is?
So to make it fair, 10.5 for commissioners, and then the mayor would get the same increase, right? 10,
yeah, I guess.
13, 14,
Yeah.
so what's that, 15.5?
No, we're talking about averages amongst the other communities. We're not talking about just a straight increase. I think that's what the discussion is.
Yeah. So let me get clarification on that. For commissions, you suggesting 10.5, and what are you suggesting for the mayor?
I've noticed that there's quite a bit a difference in the difference between commissioners and mayors based on the different municipalities or cities here. So it's not a $2,000 or $3,000 increase, and there's quite a difference in Tarpon Springs here. So I don't know. I would take a suggestion on that.
Well, the suggestion we have from the other two members are no increase at all.
Okay.
So what?
Pardon me for interrupting, but I might suggest to you that you may wish to just at this juncture find out whether you want to move forward with it at all rather than specific numbers.
Okay.
Because if there's no will to move forward, then you're done. If there is, then you can and there's nobody in the audience, and this item wasn't noticed for tonight's agenda, people may wish to speak on it, so
So what do you want?
Oh, I think we should bring it back.
Okay.
Have it clearly titled.
Right.
And I asked Mark at the beginning, where did it go?
No, what I'm saying, if it did, we have to bring it back as a resolution.
But
Whether
he
we
needs
want
to
to
have
pursue
some
it or
kind
not.
of a direction, though.
I would look. Can I talk real quick, Mayor? If you don't mind?
Go ahead.
I would just ask yourselves: is it worth the raise to have to sit here and defend yourself to the public on why we deserve that? I say no. No, that's just me. I'm not saying that what I think is the only way or the right way, but I don't know. I'm not going to sit here for public comment over trying to give myself a raise for $2,000. It's not going to happen.
No.
Okay. So I would really weigh the pros and cons of that, and I think that this should be properly addressed. it does need to be brought up more often. Commissioner Sieber is very right in that. You can't just table it, then when somebody feels good in 20 years, they mention it, and now it's awkward, like tonight, nobody's in the audience, it's 9:15. You know, I think it needs to be part of a budget discussion where it's noticed that we come and talk about it, because nobody knows about it. Talking in an empty room, it looks very bad. And that's no one's fault, it's just how it happened. But I really don't think it's worth the conversation.
Okay. Commissioner Carr?
I've already stated I think it would be a good idea to readdress this more often. Again, it's something that I feel that we serve out of service, not out of for wages. But based on what the other cities show and what the city manager was able to present to us, what the other cities are compensating the commissioners, I'm fine with saying we should look at this more often. If it's every 4 years, put it on a resolution. If it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. But at least to have being able to look at it, I think is not a bad idea. Just like anything else we're looking at in the city, we're looking at more often. This is still would be tabled every 4 or 5 years or so.
Well, I just want to restate what I said earlier. I'm not in favor for any raises. Because we're not, as you stated earlier, we're not doing this for the money, we're doing it for the service.
Well, again, I kind of hear 3 no's.
You had 3 no's and 2 maybes.
One suggestion from this is when we do if you're talking about looking at the future, I can incorporate next year when we do the salary surveys for the other employees and stuff, I could include this in and we could have it in the discussion when we're doing the salary surveys next year in the budget, if that
It should come
makes
up
you
at
more
that point.
comfortable.
That's an appropriate venue for this, and maybe then, it'll be worth it and warranted.
And if we'd learned the changes before we brought that up, as you know, we do those early so we can get the raise, everything set, but we learned it afterwards. That's the only reason. But I can commit to you that I can bring it into the process next year of bringing it up if that's the way you so choose to look at it again.
Leave it alone this year. Okay. Well, thank you, and that concludes the agenda tonight. We go to staff comments. Chief?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I again advise everyone to watch this storm, and there'll be EOC updates coming from us. I think as it stands right now, we may be doing a full activation on Friday, but things can change. So just stay tuned, and we'll be getting a lot of information out, and we hope for the best. Thank you.
No comments.
No comments. Mr. LaCours?
Just go back, talk a little bit about stormwater and just real fast. We've got a lot of things we're studying and looking at a storm. You could throw millions of dollars at some of these things, and when you have these rains like it was and stuff, it would be $1 million wasted and stuff. But with Bob Robertson, again, with the position we give him, whereas stormwater's not under him, all the projects are, and that's one of his expertise. So the area of Chesapeake and the other areas that I thought there'd be some other areas town that would be here, for instance, on this side of town to the north. We all know why that floods, because it's a bowl, but we've got a lot of money we've been putting over the last 5 years and some more. So we will be bringing back some more stormwater. In the near future, we'll bring back the list and we'll do updates of the projects we got going on and maybe some additions to you. We'll be needing to look at our stormwater rate soon, and maybe we can accelerate some of those projects with that. So you'll be seeing stormwater again pretty soon as we get that together, and Mr. Robertson does. So the issue's ongoing and studying, and you will see those issues coming back before you in the commission.
Yeah.
As you get the people asking, or people from other areas who didn't show up tonight, we'll be working on it.
Yeah, and it's very important that we stop the traffic during the down at the docks when it's raining. And I'm hoping that they like the idea to purchase the
we'll try to, and I've told the chief he'll try to improve it at 12 minutes to get out there and get it blocked off. We'll try to.
It was actually 10.
Oh,
so
sorry.
We'll do less than 10.
Yeah, but if we close the streets, then we'll get a phone call. If we don't close the streets, we get a phone call. So no matter what.
Oh, yes, they screamed at the officers for closing Athens on Tuesday when they were closing down Athens to try to stop people going down. The shoppers were screaming at them for closing the street. So, but we're used to that. We've been all the years I was chief, and we're used to it. We're going to get screamed either way we do it. We're just going to do the best we can for it.
Yeah, I think that what was brought up was the traffic too, and so closing the streets is important, but I even see trucks. I mean, these are people who are having fun out there, driving down Dodecanese when it's flooded, and just it goes right into the stores and the businesses and makes the situation worse. So I see pickup trucks doing wheelies out there and all kinds of stuff when it's flooded, and so that's important. That
We're aware of it.
yeah.
Madam City Clerk,
No comment.
no comment. Vice Mayor Panther.
I just, again, we all need to, prepare for the storm, and not that I wish anywhere, but the last 3 runs of the GFS model have it to the east or east of Florida, so I pray that the Euro at 2 a.m. that run verifies, and that's what happens, because that's the least amount of damage to the state. But regardless of what happens, we're in good hands here, and I assume, Mark, you will let us know what's needed of us, where we have to be, what needs to happen, etc.
Yeah.
So I don't think you might have been through a storm with being on the commission, were you, or
We've
no?
never gotten.
Yeah, so I don't, so.
Not that kind of a storm.
We will, and then you'll probably be hearing from me Thursday. There are countywide meetings on Thursday and stuff, so you'll probably be hearing some of that on Thursday. But we're really not going to know real good till probably Friday or so. But
Well, there's been since we've been sitting here, there's been quite a few updates. The governor had a phone call with all the mayors and city managers, which we missed, and the county just put out another update. So we will be feeling effects here in Pinellas County Saturday morning, or at least tropical storm wind right now. So, and it's changing. I think the more.
like the chief told you, if it hangs up over Cuba or something, that could change. So this thing is so there's so many little bit hang over the land and could stop a little bit. So again, we'll know better Thursday and Friday. And Thursday is the big meetings with the county and all the cities. So you'll probably hear something from me midday Thursday of what it looks like, an update, and we'll put that update on the website and have it out and get that information out like the county will be getting it out. So that's probably when you're going to hear more. But
Saint Nicholas is going to be very, very busy this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yes,
so
he is.
guys going to be tired of hearing from us.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kickley, you got anything else?
No, I have no other comments. Just be safe. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Sieber?
I just want to express my condolences. We lost an employee last week in the city, and I want to express my condolences to his family.
Commissioner Carr?
I second Commissioner Sieber on that. Mark, I know there's, we talked about like a one-way valve. That's something I brought up multiple times in the past. I know we're studying a certain area of town when we're talking about tidal water coming in the roads, like South Spring Boulevard, Dodecanese, other areas of Alternate 19 even in some areas. So I'm curious to see how that is going study-wise, and maybe where we could bounce off some other cities. So if Bob or Paul could work on something.
Yeah, all
along
that's
those
going to be
lines.
on the updates I talked to you about that are going to be coming up. Those are part of it also.
Okay, great. Also, don't forget to support our hometown team here, the Spongers. They had their first home game, I think, their official home game this past week.
Right.
But I know there's a lot of rain, but they've got a lot of home games this year, and so we got a bunch of great kids that are participating. We've also had one of the top bands in the country perpetually, year over year. So get out and support the local kids here at Tarpon Springs High School, and please be safe this weekend.
Who play East Lake?
It's a big game.
Yeah.
That's if it's not canceled.
Thank you.
If it's not canceled, you don't know. It's Friday night, correct?
Yeah.
Eastlake will probably want to cancel it.
Yeah. Well, I have some comments and announcements to make. I'd just like to remind to everyone that tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. we have our first public hearing on the budget. And the second public hearing on the budget is going to be September 19 at 6:30 p.m. I have some announcements to make. Weather permitting, we're going to have on September 7th, Thursday, September 7th, the Sunset Beach concert. September 9th, we have the triathlon, which is sponsored by the Rotary Club at the Fred Howard Park at 7:30 a.m. if it's not raining. And also the same day, we have the night in the island at 6 p.m. September 16, we have the Recreation Back to School Bash. That starts at 10 a.m. at the Splash Park.
That is going to be our first real event at the Splash Dog Park and the new field that we developed to have events such as that. So that,
The bandstand?
it's like a shelter, a combination shelter, and can be used if we have music or stuff. Mainly what we're thinking of doing there is kids programs, a lot of kids that's not an event for nights with the resident, but a lot of things we're doing out there is going to be geared to kids and for music, DJs and stuff on the combination shelter and that thing. But this will be our first event for our North Ankle for the park, the North Stafford Park. So.
And I also like to express my condolences to the passing of our city employee, Mr. Weir. And I believe his memorial service is this weekend, Friday, I think it is.
Friday, 10 a.m., Curlew Hills.
Curlew Hills. May his memory be eternal. Well, that concludes the regular session meeting, and it's adjourned at 9:23 p.m. Thank you, and good night, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, better than here, I think.
Richard's thing is at what, 1 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, we got
Changing of command?
we forgot the biggest thing tomorrow.
The fire service.
The change of command, the fire big one we forgot.